Chapter 896, Corpse Sect. Almost at the instant the man shouted, a loud rumble came from the ground underneath the square. Cracks appeared on the ground and 8 old men charged out. These 8 elders all gave off an ancient aura. After they appeared, they stared at Wang Lin and charged forward without any hesitation. The anger in Wang Lin's eyes became even stronger. These 8 elders all had black gas between their eyebrows. However, there was a golden glow that guarded their souls. Wang Lin took a step forward, pointed forward, and 8 strands of black and white gas shot out toward each of them. The black and white gas surrounded them, and at that instant it destroyed the black gas between their eyebrows. The 8 elders' bodies trembled, and they immediately became sober. The first thing they saw was the angry Wang Lin. They trembled, and one of them exclaimed, "Ancestor Wang Lin!" The remaining 7 all revealed excited expressions. After that was said, a huge uproar was set off below them. The expressions of the cultivators changed. They couldn't believe it. In contrast, the Wang family members all revealed strange expressions. Only a few of them revealed excitement. Just at this moment, the large amount of black mist that came out from the old man fused together into a large python hundreds of feet long. It let out a roar and charged toward Wang Lin. This time, Tashan directly stepped forward and threw his right fist. There was an earth-shattering sound, and the python immediately collapsed. Tashan withdrew his fist and returned behind Wang Lin. From start to finish, his expression remained cold. Killing intent flashed through Wang Lin's eyes. He raised his right hand and pressed down. The earth rumbled, and as the powerful force bombarded the ground, a person flew out from the pit. This person's upper body was naked, and his long hair flowed in the air. His pupils shrank when he saw Wang Lin in the air. "You dare to raise resentful spirits in my Wang family descendants? You die!" Wang Lin's voice was very cold as he took a step. Thunder appeared on his right arm and shot toward the man. The man's expression changed greatly. He thought that he had hidden himself very well, but he was still found out, and now he quickly retreated. His cultivation level was far above anyone on planet Suzaku. He was at the illusory yin stage. However, at this moment, his mind trembled. He looked back into the hall at the woman in the colored dress, next to the middle-aged man. The woman's eyes were cold. When she saw Wang Lin attacking the man, she let out a cold snort in her heart. She raised her right hand and was about to use a spell. However, just at this moment, as Wang Lin charged toward the man, ripples appeared under his feet and he suddenly disappeared. This disappearance startled the man, but his eyes lit up and he escaped without hesitation. Tashan's eyes turned cold and he was going to chase, but the big-headed boy was one step ahead. With a foolish smile on his face, he chased after the man. As for the woman in the colorful dress, she was also startled, but her expression changed greatly. She suddenly charged out, but it was too late. Wang Lin's figure appeared in the hall right next to the woman. Thunder flashed across his eyes as he pointed out in anger. Countless bolts of thunder from the heavens seemed to penetrate the void through some incredible means and directly gathered at his fingertip. This finger carrying the power of thunder landed on the middle of the woman's back. The woman's body trembled violently and she coughed out a large mouthful of blood. There was a giant python coiled up above her head. However, the moment the python appeared, it collapsed and the woman turned pale. Just as the thunder was about to destroy her body and origin soul, there was a crisp cry of a phoenix. A 5-colored phoenix appeared and blocked Wang Lin's thunder for her. She retreated and was about to use a spell, but Wang Lin was again one step ahead of her. He appeared beside her once more and his finger filled with thunder descended once more. As the thunder rumbled, the woman coughed out more blood and the phoenix trembled. She continued to retreat, but her speed simply couldn't compared to Wang Lin's. In a flash, Wang Lin moved like a ghost and pointed at her 4 times. The woman's body trembled violently. The continuous attacks had seriously injured her and she had no chance to fight back. The last point caused the phoenix to let out a miserable cry before it collapsed. The woman's eyes became alert and she snapped, "I am one of the 7 phoenixes of planet Feng Luan. Do you dare to kill me?" However, Wang Lin didn't stop at all and arrived next to her in a flash. Killing intent appeared in his eyes as he raised his right hand. Black and white gas circled his 2 fingers as he pressed them down on the woman's right shoulder. Black and white gas rushed into her body. Her body trembled and immediately collapsed. Her origin soul tried to escape, but it was sealed by the black and white gas and dragged to Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't hesitate as he pressed his right hand on the woman's origin soul and used the soul search spell. As the woman screamed in pain, Wang Lin ransacked all her memories. The more he saw, the more gloomy his face became. At the end, his gaze was chilly cold, and he mercilessly crushed her origin soul. Her origin soul turned into origin energy that was directly devoured by Wang Lin. He had already seen that there was something wrong with this woman. Although she tried to hide her cultivation, Wang Lin could clearly see her corporeal yang cultivation. If not for the phoenix spirit protecting her, just one thunderstrike would be been enough to kill her. There were many Wang family members here, and Wang Lin could see that the black gas from the Wang family members were connected to her hand. It was obvious that this woman controlled their lives. Otherwise, the moment Wang Lin appeared, he would have killed her rather than forcing out the person hiding underground and attacking when she was distracted. The moment she died, a portion of the Wang family members coughed out blood. Then their eyes dimmed and they died. The black mist disappeared from the rest of the Wang family members, and they regained their clarity. They looked at Wang Lin with excitement in their eyes before they knelt down and felt ashamed. The education every single Wang family member went through during their childhood involved observing the portrait of their Wang family ancestor. Wang Lin's appearance was engraved into their hearts. Now that their minds were clear, they immediately recognized Wang Lin. They weren't unfamiliar with Wang Lin with all the rumors. The reason why there were so many cultivators in the Great Wang dynasty was because the Wang family produced Wang Lin. Ancestor, we were wrong. The 8 old men were all kneeling on the ground. Wang Lin's gaze fell on the main hall and looked at the middle-aged man who was also kneeling. He coldly said, "You all were indeed wrong. You couldn't even distinguish if someone was a Wang family member or not." The middle-aged man's expression changed greatly. Wang Lin let out a cold snort. This snort was like thunder that echoed endlessly. The middle-aged man was knocked out by this snort. Wang Lin's words startled all the Wang family members. Their gazes became gloomy as they stared at the middle-aged man that had passed out. After letting out a sigh, Wang Lin looked at the surrounding cultivators. He clasped his hands and said, "Fellow cultivators, thank you all for taking care of my Wang family over the years." The cultivators quickly and respectfully accepted his thanks. After saying a few things, Wang Lin's divine sense spread out, and he determined that there were no more people from planet Fengluan here anymore. He turned to the old man kneeling on the ground and said, "I leave you to deal with the matter here. I'll return in several days." Wang Lin's eyes were cold. He had learned a lot from the woman from planet Fengluan, and now there were some matters to deal with. Planet Fengluan, corpse sect. You dare to have ideas about my Wang family descendants? Don't blame me for being merciless. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with killing intent. This time he was truly angry. From the memories of the woman from planet Fengluan, Wang Lin knew that she was indeed one of the 7 phoenixes. However, at the same time, she was also a member of the corpse sect sent here to be the head elder. She had the same position as Sun Tai, but her cultivation level was much higher. Corpse sect. Wang Lin heard some secrets of the corpse sect from Sun Tai before his death. Things such as gathering resentment to nourish resentful spirits was one of the tasks of the corpse sect. From that woman's memories, Wang Lin knew that in the Great Wang dynasty, almost every city had corpse sect members. It was like a large net that shrouded over the Great Wang dynasty that constantly caused resentment and gathered resentment to nourish the resentful spirits. What Wang Lin was going to do was wipe those people out. However, it wasn't just the ones in the Great Wang dynasty. He was going to uproot the corpse sect from planet Suzaku. And due to the matter with his descendants, he was going to pay the corpse sect a visit. That giant corpse and the weak divine sense were all things he was interested in. He just didn't know if that giant demon clan body was still there after hundreds of years. In the distance, the big-headed boy returned with a person in his hand. He had a foolish smile as he looked at Wang Lin. "Kill it! Give me the origin soul!" Wang Lin's expression was cold as he stepped toward the horizon. Tashan quickly followed. The big-headed cultivator licked his lips and his right hand squeezed. The person's head was crushed, and the big-headed cultivator held the origin soul as he followed after Wang Lin. A huge change was occurring on planet Suzaku with Wang Lin's return. Nearly 3,800 words, already quite long. Day by day people say it's short, look at others. All are 2,000 words a chapter. Leo is that long, wouldn't you cast a like for Leo's video? Chapter 897. The wind swept away the remaining leaves. The metal, wood, water, fire, and earth major cities were the closest ones to the capital. They surrounded the area within 50,000 kilometers of the capital, and each contained a large amount of soldiers. With Wang Lin's speed, it only took a step for him to arrive at the metal city. Although it was a bit smaller than the capital, it was still luxurious. However, this luxury made the resentment even stronger. This resentment gathered in the air above the city like a demonic flame. It continued to rise and was very erratic. As he closed in on the city, Wang Lin's divine sense swept past the city inch by inch. His eyes lit up and he let out a cold snort. As this cold snort spread, explosions occurred in 3 locations. In the city lord's mansion, the advisor named Sun suddenly trembled and exploded into a pile of flesh. The same thing happened in the other 2 places. Wang Lin's expression was cold as turned around to leave. He was too fast. He didn't give the people of the corpse sect any chance at all. As his divine sense spread, bodies immediately exploded within the remaining 4 cities. After finishing with all of this, Wang Lin continued to move with his divine sense spread out across all the cities inside the great Wang dynasty. The corpse sect disciples all panicked as they flew out from the cities and tried to escape. However, the moment they flew into the air, a cold snort appeared. Their bodies trembled and were directly crushed by the divine sense sent out by a nirvana scryer cultivator. Popping sounds echoed within the great Wang dynasty as the corpse sect disciples cough out blood before their bodies disintegrated. Even their souls collapsed, and large amounts of spiritual energy entered the earth of planet Suzaku to nourish it. This sudden event caused the citizens of the great Wang dynasty to panic. They didn't know what was happening, and began to speculate endlessly. His divine sense swept across the great Wang dynasty. After killing the corpse sect disciples, Wang Lin's expression became even more gloomy. He had searched the memories of the woman from planet Fengluan. Almost every city had corpse sect disciples collecting resentment and nourishing resentful spirits. This wasn't only happening on planet Suzaku. All the branch corpse sects were gathering resentment. Although that woman from planet Fengluan was the head elder, someone like her normally wouldn't be sent to planet Suzaku. However, orders came from the corpse set headquarters to station a corporeal yang cultivator here. And the job fell in her hands. Wang Lin didn't care about any of this. What he found strange was a secret command that she had received from the corpse sect headquarters after arriving on planet Suzaku. No matter how hard Wang Lin searched the woman's memories, he couldn't find anything about the secret order. This meant that the order was given by someone with stronger cultivation, so he wasn't able to find out what it was. However, Wang Lin was able to make some guesses based on some clues. First of all, with that woman's background, she wouldn't become the concubine of a mortal. If that was the case, why was she at the Imperial Palace? With her cultivation, there was no need for direct control. She didn't even have to be there. Also, this woman hadn't been on planet Suzaku for long, less than 100 years. And she had only entered the Imperial Palace 10 years ago. Her memories were a complete blank from the moment when she arrived before the Imperial Palace, as if someone had taken them away. She didn't know why she was here. However, using her other memories, Wang Lin was able to find out what she was hiding from in the Imperial Palace. During these 10 years, this woman had been carefully hiding inside the Imperial Palace and was keeping her cultivation hidden. What exactly happened to her 10 years ago that made her flee to the most populated Imperial Palace? Besides, what made her think she wouldn't be found in the Imperial Palace? Wang Lin frowned. After pondering for a while, he decided to not think about this anymore. His divine sense no longer locked onto the city but swept across planet Suzaku, searching for the corpse sect. The corpse sect was a very large organization, not just outside the planet, but even just on planet Suzaku. Wang Lin remembered that the corpse sect existed in almost every country. However, through the memories of that woman, Wang Lin was aware that the corpse sect had been reorganized. They were all concentrated in one place, and that place became the headquarters for the corpse sect on planet Suzaku. What was interesting was that the new headquarters was in the country of Zhao, where the corpse sect in Zhao used to be. After cleaning up the corpse sect members in various cities, Wang Lin headed straight toward the corpse sect in Zhao. He moved very fast and soon arrived at the corpse sect in Zhao. It had been hundreds of years since he had been here. While staring at the swamp ahead, his eyes turned cold and he muttered, "Interesting. There are many more restrictions here than before. Wang Lin calmly said, "Tashan, open this place up for me." Tashan's expression was cold as he took a few steps forward. He didn't look at the swamp as he tightened his right fist and bombarded the ground. At this moment, the ground began to tremble violently. The swamp on the ground was shaken into the air, and the muddy water shot into the sky. It was as if someone had lifted the ground up. Countless flashes of restrictions appeared, and while these restrictions might have been effective against ascendant cultivators, they were useless against Tashan. With one punch, those restriction lights immediately collapsed and disappeared. A large crack appeared on the earth, and deep within this crack was a secret passage. Wang Lin walked forward into the secret passage, and calmly walked in with Tashan following behind. As for the big-headed boy, he was quite interested as he looked around, and followed behind as well. As he walked down this secret passage, Wang Lin felt melancholy. He had come here twice hundreds of years ago, and both times he had to be very careful. However, now he would do as he pleased here. As Wang Lin walked through the passage, he spread out his divine sense across the corpse sect and blocked all exits. He was here looking for the head of the corpse sect. Whether it was now or before, Wang Lin never had any goodwill toward the corpse sect. Not to mention they had actually dared to use the Wang family to nourish resentful spirits. Wang Lin had no special feelings toward these descendants from more than 10 generations away. However, they were descendants of the Wang family, and seeing them bullied like this had really angered him. Along the way, any corpse sect cultivator detected by his divine sense immediately collapsed and died. There were many cultivators here. They had a gloomy expressions as they panicked and wanted to escape. However, with Wang Lin's divine sense sealing the passages, none of them could escape. As he walked, a flash of sword energy from the passage suddenly shot toward Wang Lin. This sword energy contained a powerful aura. The person who launched the attack had to be at the ascendant stage. As it charged through the narrow passage, there was a loud whistle. Wang Lin's expression was cold as he casually pointed with his hand and used a bit of his origin energy. Ripples appeared in the void and the sword energy immediately collapsed. A muffled groan appeared as the ripple from Wang Lin's fingertips spread. However, not only did the person not retreat, he moved even faster toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin had already seen what the ambusher looked like. This person's body was thin, as if he was a mummy. There were countless runes on this person's body, and the body gave off a foul smell. The person's eyes were dim, as if he no longer had a mind. While looking at the person, Wang Lin found him a bit familiar. In an instant, this mummy arrived next to Wang Lin. Wang Lin let out a sigh and kicked with his right foot. There was a sonic boom and his right foot landed on the mummy with a bang. The mummy began to disintegrate from its feet. This disintegration was rapid, and in an instant, the mummy turned to dust. The moment the mummy disappeared, his eyes regained clarity. He looked at Wang Lin with confusion, but he disappeared the next instant. I didn't think that Yi Zizai, one would become someone else. Corpse puppet Wang Lin let out a sigh as he walked forward. He didn't move fast, and there were ambushers in many places before him. However, all of them collapsed in an instant. These ambushers were all corpse puppets. Wang Lin walked toward the corpse sect headquarters along the passage. The moment Wang Lin arrived, his eyes turned cold and he looked ahead. His gaze seemed to be able to pierce through the wall and extend inside the cave. He saw 8 huge transfer arrays, and at this moment, numerous corpse sect members were standing within them. The transfer arrays activated and began to slowly disappear. "You all can't escape," Wang Lin calmly said to himself. His divine sense swept past the 8 transfer arrays, causing them to immediately begin to collapse. In an instant, 3 of the transfer arrays collapsed, and all the corpse sect disciples disappeared into a spatial crack. At the same time, the other 5 transfer arrays also collapsed. Not a single corpse sect disciple was able to escape. If a cultivator at the second step wanted to wipe out a sect like this, it would require no blood. The second step cultivator merely need to use his divine sense to destroy the sect. Even yin and yang cultivators couldn't do this. After all, the yin and yang stages were only transition stages. Only nirvana scryer cultivators were really at the second step. 1. The corpse sect person who accepted Wang Lin into the corpse sect at the start. The last day of June, wishing for the like button for the VIDEO. A sweep of the like button for the VIDEO each month. The June ticket expires tonight at 12. Chapter 8 Stone Bead. Taiju was pale as he got up and looked around. He found that he was in a small natural cave. The sunlight peered in through the entrance of the cave, revealing a floor covered with the bones of birds and animals. On the wall behind him was a black hole the size of a fist. He couldn't tell how deep this little hole was, but on closer inspection, one mystery was solved. The pulling force that sucked him into the cave earlier came from this hole. The animals that those scattered bones had belonged to were sucked in just like he had been. The suction from the hole must be spontaneous. The moment he appeared in front of this cave during his fall, the mysterious hole pulled him in and saved his life. Taiju, enduring the agony of his right arm, was about to walk out of the cave when the bones on the ground suddenly started moving toward the hole. He quickly rolled to the corner of the cave without a moment's delay as he felt the wind behind him. The unimaginable sucking force suddenly came from the little hole. All the bones rattled as they flew toward the hole. Some of the bigger bones were stuck on the wall blocking the little hole. At that moment, a bird was sucked in as it flew by the cave's entrance. It whizzed through the air until it splattered against the cave wall. After about an hour, the force stopped pulling. Wang Lin stared in horror at the corpse of the recently deceased bird. He didn't move his body at all, only sat still while calculating the time. Half an hour later, the suction started again. This repeated several times. Wang Lin had grasped the timing of the strange suctioning hole. It would start sucking every 30 minutes for a duration of 60 minutes. Taking advantage of the time gap between suctions, Wang Lin painfully crept towards the cave entrance. As he looked below, he couldn't help but reveal a bitter smile. Below him was a jungle, and the barely visible ground was covered with rocks. The cliff was very steep. There was no way for him to climb down with his broken arm. The distance from the ground measured more than a few dozen meters. If he tried to jump down, it would definitely be the end. The bag filled with food was left at the top of the mountain with no way for him to retrieve it. Right now, food was the most important problem he needed to solve. As he was pondering, he suddenly remembered the suction time and rushed back to the corner of the cave. Time in the outside world seemed to pass by quickly. Wang Lin could feel his body grow weaker and weaker. He had no feeling in his arm. It was completely numb. He smiled bitter as he said to himself, being stuck here means a slow death, but jumping down would be instant death. He looked at the bloody corpse of the bird that was sucked in earlier. With a bit of hesitation, he walked over, picked it up, and reluctantly took a bite. The taste was appalling. He exhaled as the raw meat in his mouth flooded his senses, but then continued to eat it. He barely chewed the meat, opting to just swallow it nearly whole. Taiju felt warmth enter his stomach as it churned. He ate the bird quickly in big bites. Then he stood up and took a deep breath to keep himself from puking it all out. He tossed the remains of the bird to the side and sat down against the cave wall. His mind wandered, one moment thinking about his parents, one moment thinking of his fourth uncle, one moment thinking about the mocking faces of his relatives, and one moment he even thought about the cold eyes of the middle-aged man in black from the Xianxia sect. In a trance, Wang Lin looked at the half-eaten bird corpse. Without batting an eye, he picked up the corpse for a closer inspection. He saw that within the bird's corpse there was a red bead the size of a baby's first. He was very surprised as he took it out of the carcass. Why was there a bead in this bird's body? Wang Lin's heart was pounding as he thought of a book the teacher in his village had once shown him. Some animals live to be much older, and that something called a dantian will form within their body. If one were to eat a dantian, their life would be prolonged, and their strength would increase. Even limbs that had been cut off would grow back. When he saw that description, he didn't believe it, and secretly scoffed at it. But now he couldn't help but to believe in myths and legends a little more after meeting immortals. Wang Lin's heart was pounding hard enough to fly out of his chest. If this bead was really the dantian described in the book, then eating it would not only heal his injuries quickly, but it would also make it easy to leave this place. Even passing the test to join the Xianxia sect should be possible. At least he would be able to pass the perseverance test. But the bead was very hard. It didn't seem edible. He used some of the ragged cloth on his body to wipe it clean, restoring its original color. A gray bead, with 5 clouds carved on it, was revealed. It looked very old. Wang Lin was very disappointed. Unwilling to give up, he gave the bead a bite, then silently laughed at himself. Taiju, you are too delusional. How could some random bird that just happened to fly by have a dantian? Wang Lin sighed. It was already dark outside. He felt weary and fell asleep with the bead by his side and animal bones covering the floor. Since it is fall right now, the temperature dropped very quickly, especially in the mountain area. The cold air entered Wang Lin's body. He curled up, and the night passed by quickly. The next morning, sunlight peered in from the outside of the cave as the sun rose. A few drops of sparkling dew secreted from the bead by Wang Lin's side. As the dew gathered, it dripped onto the bones nearby. After a while, Wang Lin woke up. Not only was his arm still swollen, its condition seemed to have gotten worse. Wang Lin sat on the floor, feeling very depressed. Wang Lin muttered to himself, "Am I going to be stuck here my whole life?" He slowly turned his head and noticed the dew that accumulated on the bones. Since he was thirsty, he carefully picked up a few bones and licked the dew off them. The sweetness of the dew was quite good. He couldn't tell if he was imagining it, but his whole body felt warm and comfortable after drinking some. Especially the injury on his arm. There was feeling of comfort and itching as the swelling lessened. Wang Lin rubbed his eyes and closely looked at his arm. The swelling had indeed gone down. He quickly looked at the bones around him but wasn't able to find any more with dew on them. At that moment he suddenly noticed the bead and saw drops of dew on it. He remembered that all the bones that had dew on them were next to the bead. He gently picked up the bead, with his heart pounding, and rolled the bead on his arm to evenly spreading out the dew. Waves of cool and refreshing feelings came from the arm. Wang Lin stared at his arm without batting an eye. After a while, his eyes lit up. The swelling from the arm had gone down. He tried waving his arm. While there was still some pain, it wasn't a big deal. This stone bead must be a treasure. Wang Lin was pleasantly surprised. In dreams, Leo sees his video standing in third place on the popular charts. Hoping to garner more fan support, and looking for help from you all to climb even higher in the rankings this month. Chapter 89, Bluffing Magic Treasure. Wang Lin's eyes flashed cold as he said, "I am here to cultivate, so unless it's really needed, I don't want to act. If you back off and never disturb me again, I will let you go and forget about this matter." The strange man let out a puzzled expression and said some strange words. It was clear that he didn't understand Wang Lin, and Wang Lin couldn't understand him. Wang Lin slightly narrowed his eyes and slowly moved to a broken wall. The strange man quickly became alert when he saw Wang Lin move. Wang Lin waved his right hand quickly as he drew on the broken wall. The strange man was dumbfounded. As he stared at Wang Lin's finger, he revealed a look of understanding. Wang Lin's finger quickly drew a picture of the ruin, and then, with a slash of his finger, he drew a line that split the ruin in half. Then, Wang Lin pointed at the strange man, and pointed to the right half of the picture, then pointed at himself followed by the left side of the picture. After doing all that, Wang Lin's finger slowly moved left and right, leaving a mark on the wall as he stared at the strange man. His eyes were filled with killing intent, his intention obvious. "If you come to my side again, I'll waste my spiritual power to kill you." The strange man was surprised. He hesitated for a while as he rubbed his chest with a look of fear in his eyes. He looked at the flying sword with dread in his eyes and let out a shout of strange words. Wang Lin frowned. After the strange person saw that Wang Lin didn't understand him, he quickly became frantic and started waving his hand. He then suddenly hit his head and moved next to a wall and punched it. The moment he punched the wall, a symbol on his body lit up and the wall crumbled. The strange person picked up some pieces of the broken wall. He stared at them with reminiscence in his eyes. He placed the rocks on the ground, then stared at Wang Lin and shouted a few words. Wang Lin's face relaxed a bit. He grabbed in the air and suddenly all of the stones next to the strange person moved to the side in a specific order. Then, his right hand formed a seal and shot out a light. Soon, the fog formed around the range of the stone. Wang Lin started at the strange person and calmly asked, "Is this restriction that you read talking about?" The strange person quickly revealed an excited expression as he waved his hand and beat his chest. Suddenly, a symbol on his body lit up and he opened his arms. The ground suddenly shook and the piece of land the rock formation was on floated into the air, leaving behind a huge hole in the ground. The small confusion formation floated in the air like a small mountain above the strange person's head. He nodded toward Wang Lin, then quickly left. After moving a bit away, he paused and turned to face Wang Lin. He shouted some words at Wang Lin and made a gesture before disappearing into the distance. Wang Lin stared at the strange person's figure. It was not that he didn't think about killing the strange man, but the yellow talisman on him was too powerful. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he didn't want to get into a life-and-death fight with the strange man. As he was thinking this, his expression suddenly changed. The flying sword flew to his side as his eyes became filled with killing intent. The strange person came back. Wang Lin stared at the figure before him and said, with a cold voice, "You recording death." The strange man quickly stopped. He was holding a round object in his hand. He waved his hand and tried to explain. After seeing that Wang Lin's eyes were still cold, he threw the round object toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin slowly took a few steps. The strange man didn't use a lot of strength, so the round object rolled a bit and stopped before Wang Lin. After he threw the object, the strange man let out a smile toward Wang Lin and left. At this point, the day was still bright, so Wang Lin cautiously looked at the direction of the figure. After a long time, he withdrew his gaze. He walked up to the round object and looked down. This was a bead that was only 1/10 the size of a fist. It was covered in dust and even had some cracks on it. After looking at the bead for a while, he let out a surprised expression. He took a stone from the ground and lightly hit the bead. The bead rolled backward for a bit. Slivers of weak spiritual power leaked from the bead. This is a treasure? He was stunned. He grabbed the air with his right hand and the bead floated into the air. After observing it for a while, he grabbed it with his right hand without any hesitation. He scanned it with his divine sense and fed it some spiritual power. Suddenly, white smoke came out of the bead. The smoke floated above and formed the shape of an old man. The old man had the hair of a crane, the skin of a chicken, the beak of an eagle, and the head of a harrier. The old man emitted a dangerous aura. He casually looked at Wang Lin and revealed a sarcastic smile. He said, "Do you dare to fight with this old man?" Wang Lin was stunned and took a few steps back. After carefully looking, he noticed that the person was only at the 15th layer of QI condensation. He rubbed his nose. His eyes lit up and he quickly sent more spiritual power into the stone bead. With the input of spiritual energy, the old man's spiritual power quickly rose until it reached mid-stage foundation establishment. The old man's hair moved without wind and his body released a huge fighting aura. The old man floated into the air and said, "Do you dare to fight with this old man?" Wang Lin was completely astonished. He had no idea what use this bead had and decided to pour more spiritual power into it. The old man's eyes shined brightly and his aura quickly increased. His hand moved, causing thunderous roars as his cultivation raised to the point where Wang Lin couldn't even tell what cultivation level the old man was at. The old man's cultivation had already reached a degree that would cause fear with just a glance. The old man let out a breath and released the aura of a peerless expert. He held his hand behind his back and said, "Those below the core formation stage don't have the right to fight me." Scram! Wang Lin withdrew his spiritual power and the old man quickly disappeared and turned back into the white smoke. The smoke returned to the bead and with a crackling sound, another crack appeared on the bead. Wang Lin stared at the stone bead and was unable to utter a word. He was completely convinced of the effect of the stone bead. The stone bead was an illusionary magical treasure and the illusion it created was almost no different from reality. The old man, regardless of the way he spoke, the aura of a master that he emitted was perfect. Just like that last line, "Those below core formation stage don't have the right to fight me." Scram! The aura and expression had reached its peak. Wang Lin believed that even if it was himself, he wouldn't be able to tell that it was a fake. After all, from the view of most people, the old man had the aura of an old master. And with the increase in his own cultivation, he could put more spiritual power into the bead, and the power of the old man would increase. This was really the best method to scare people. Wang Lin put away the treasure and muttered to himself, "This strange blue person is really interesting. He must have felt bad after breaking the little confusion formation, so he gave me this treasure." From this little exchange, he immediately realized that the strange person couldn't use magic treasures, and that within the ruin there must be more magic treasures. Now this ruined city became a treasure trove in Wang Lin's eyes. This place has a mysterious light that heals wounds, an illusionary magic treasure, and a strange blue person. What other secrets does this place have? Wang Lin rubbed his chin. Currently, the day was still bright, so he put down the formations again. He sat down in the middle and drank some yin spirit liquid, then started to cultivate. 2 months flew by. On this day, Wang Lin sat cross-legged in the room. In the 2 months of cultivating the extreme yin energy, He had gathered enough energy to attempt the first breakthrough. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He had already finished studying the underworld ascension method and knew very well how the 3 big breakthroughs will be. The 3 key points of breaking through were the Dantain in his stomach, the QIC in his chest, and the progenitor meridian. These 3 locations needed to be broken through 3 times each to form the cold cores. In simpler terms, for the first level, the Dantain must be opened, and when it's time to reach level 2, the opening at the Dantain must be crushed and opened again. The principle of the underworld method was to break first, then recover to gain more strength. Wang Lin pondered for a moment, then moved the yin energy in his Dantain in order to start his first breakthrough. Under his control, the yin energy spun faster and faster, causing a sharp pain in his stomach. Wang Lin was very familiar with the technique, so he knew that the stronger the pain, the closer the moment of the breakthrough. This type of pain was not something a normal person could withstand. The feeling was as if someone pierced his stomach with a sword and churned it around. In just a few breaths, Wang Lin was covered in cold sweat. The yin energy quickly turned into a swirl under the spin as it grew wider. Looking from the outside, Wang Lin's stomach turned green and frost started to gather all over his body. Wang Lin gritted his teeth as the pain got even worse. Suddenly, the cold energy swept through his body. At this point, with the spin of the yin energy, a black hole appeared. The moment it appeared, all of the yin energy sank into it like rocks in water. Shortly after, all of the spiritual energy also started being devoured as it left his body and entered the black hole. A strange change happened inside the black hole. The spiritual power that always ignored the yin energy while in Wang Lin's body started to fight with the yin energy. The 2 energies fiercely clashed against each other for control. Gradually, the yin energy and spiritual power started to devour and mix with each other, and formed a new type of spiritual power that slowly spun inside the black hole. From yesterday until now, Leo has only slept for 2 hours. Can't take it anymore. Today there's only the first watch. Leo wants to catch up on sleep. After the salon ends, the missing chapters will be compensated. Chapter 898, Lei Ji. At this moment, the entire corpse sect headquarters was silent. This was a terrifying silence. The only sound was the rustling footsteps that came from the ground. This entire place was shrouded in a gloomy aura. Wang Lin walked ahead and passed through the caves. He was very calm and continued to walk down the path based off his memory until he arrived in the depths of the corpse sect. Looking at the sealed dead end, there was nothing abnormal on the surface. Wang Lin remembered that there used to be a cave here. He cultivated the underworld ascension method in that cave. He didn't stop and walked toward the wall. As he closed in, cracks appeared on the wall, and when he arrived, the wall collapsed. It was as if there was a strange force pushing forward. There was nothing that could stop Wang Lin from moving forward, and popping sounds echoed through the tunnel. As he walked forward, the wall continued to collapse, and a passage was opened. If a cultivator saw this strange scene, they would be greatly shocked. Even though a cultivator at the yin and yang stage could do it, it would be very difficult. Only those who had truly entered the second step and touched the edge of law could easily do this. As Wang Lin moved forward, he arrived at where he used to cultivate. He looked around and felt a bit melancholy. After silently pondering for a moment, Wang Lin continued to walk forward. Before him was a wall with countless small holes that released cold energy. However, compared to before, the cold energy was a lot weaker. As he moved forward, the walls collapsed. Wang Lin didn't stop. He continued to walk forward. It didn't take long before he arrived at the deepest part of the corpse sect. It was a huge, underground cave. A coffin thousands of feet long floated in the middle of the cave. "Save me," a faint voice suddenly echoed when Wang Lin entered. Wang Lin was familiar with this voice. However, the moment this voice appeared, it suddenly stopped. After a long time, the voice reappeared, but this time there was a hint of shock within it. You are that cultivator from back then." The voice was filled with unimaginable terror. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he approached the huge coffin. Although the coffin looked normal, there were countless restrictions covering it. This cascade of restrictions was not simple and gave off a powerful pressure. With Wang Lin's cultivation back then, he only felt his mind tremble without knowing the reason when he got close. However, now Wang Lin was able to clearly observe the restrictions on the coffin. "Impossible. How did you reach this level of cultivation in only hundreds of years?" The weak voice was extremely shocked. It was obvious that he recognized Wang Lin, and that was why he was so shocked. He clearly remembered that the cultivator before him had come here twice. The first time this cultivator came here, he was only at the foundation establishment stage. He didn't care because a foundation establishment cultivator couldn't help him. Hundreds of years later, this cultivator came a second time. This time, this little cultivator was almost at the soul transformation stage. That time, this little cultivator came to take his blood and completely ignored his call for help. In order to delay for time, he even tempted the little cultivator by promising to become his mount. However, in the end, he failed to escape because that little cultivator was too cautious. He had always been angry about this, but he had no choice. However, now that this cultivator came the third time, he was shocked. He couldn't see through that little cultivator's cultivation. Forget this person. He couldn't even see through the cultivation of the two cultivators who were obviously servants. He could only feel a terrifying aura from the three of them. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he carefully looked at the coffin. He raised his right hand and casually pointed at the coffin. When his finger landed on the coffin, there was a loud bang that echoed across the cave and cracks spread like crazy from where Wang Lin touched. The cracks covered the coffin in almost an instant. This looked very easy for Wang Lin. But what the giant demon clan ancestor saw made him terrified. The moment Wang Lin raised his fingertip, the thousands of feet long coffin immediately collapsed and scattered in all directions. Large amounts of white mist came out and filled the area. Inside the white mist was a very large naked man floating in the air. His skin was completely ashen. Unlike an ancient god, there were no cracks on his skin. It was completely smooth. There was a purplish plant covering the giant's body, and it constantly squirmed. As it moved, the giant's body would visibly shrink, but then it would quickly return to normal. As this cycle continued, large amounts of cold, white mist would be released by the plant. There was a faint axe mark that would sometimes flash between the eyebrows of the giant. Save me, Sen Senior. Save me, I, Lei Ji, am willing to become Senior's mount. Please save me, Senior. The giant's divine sense was weak, but this time there were no schemes hidden in his words, only the plead for help. Wang Lin looked at the purple thing that was wrapped around Lei Ji. He knew that the plant had taken root inside Lei Ji's body. It would only take several hundreds years before Lei Ji's life force was all absorbed, and he would turn into a corpse. Wang Lin calmly asked, "How many of your giant demon clan members were caught by the corpse sect?" "Senior, on planet Suzaku, I am the only one. However, in the Alliance star system, I know that a large amount of my giant demon clan members were captured by the corpse sect. The corpse sect has their eye on my giant demon clan's bodies. However, if they try to possess our bodies normally, our superpowers will disappear. Their purpose is to possess our bodies while retaining the superpower. The purple vine in my body is a strange plant that the corpse sect is using to take my life force but not affect my superpower. Then they will be able to possess my body without any problem. If Wang Lin didn't have this current cultivation, Lei Ji wouldn't have told the truth, but now he said it without any hesitation. Strength was everything in the cultivation world. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he looked at Lei Ji. His right hand reached out and Lei Ji's body trembled violently. The purple vine on Lei Ji's body began to move. In almost an instant, roots were being pulled out one by one and the vine rapidly contracted. A powerful pressure suddenly appeared. Wang Lin frowned as they looked at the purple vine. As the vines contracted, they let out a sharp scream. As the roots withdrew, an extremely ferocious plant hundreds of feet tall appeared in the air. There was a flower at the head of the planet. As the flower opened, it revealed rows of sharp teeth and drool came out. The vines were like the hands of the plants. A portion of them were connected to Lei Ji. The other vines also had flowers, and when those flowers opened, they all had sharp teeth as well. The sharp roar echoed and formed a storm that charged toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was cold. There was a divine sense inside that plant. It was not simply a planet. Senior, the divine sense of a corpse sect vice hall master is inside the plant. My body was prepared for this vice sect head. If Senior didn't come, I fear that when all my life force is gone after hundreds of years, he can possess my body without any obstacles. Although Lei Ji's divine sense was getting weaker, he still struggled to speak. After Wang Lin heard this, it was as if a bolt of lightning had flashed across his mind and he understood. The corpse sect focuses on trafficking bodies. In this world, the best body is an ancient god-s body. However, there are too few ancient gods right now, so the corpse sect took a step back and set their sights on the giant demon clan. This kind of body combined with the spells of a cultivator is not something an ordinary cultivator can deal with. If a Nirvana Scryer cultivator had this kind of body along with their spells and the giant demon clan-s superpower, it would something even I wouldn't be confident in fighting against unless I fused with my original body. Wang Lin's expression became gloomy. The corpse sect had too much secrets. He didn't know if possessing the bodies of the giant demon clan was considered important in the corpse sect. In the end of the day, this matter allowed Wang Lin to see through some of the mysteries shrouding the corpse sect. As the All-Heaven army approached, Wang Lin believed that all of the corpse sect's secrets would be revealed. As the demonic plant let out a sharp roar, its vines charged toward Wang Lin like crazy, wanting to tear Wang Lin into pieces. Wang Lin smiled and spat out the celestial sealing stamp. It immediately grew and hundreds of thousands of golden runes flew out toward the plant. The celestial sealing stamp created a loud rumble as it smashed down toward the plant. Wang Lin raised his right hand filled with thunder intent. Thunder immediately appeared from the void and gathered in Wang Lin's right hand. While controlling the thunder of the heavens for his own use, a purple ball of lighting appeared in Wang Lin's right hand in a flash. He pushed it forward and the ball of thunder immediately shot out toward the plant. At this moment, countless golden runes surrounded the huge plant, and the celestial sealing stamp smashed down. There was an earth-shattering bang that caused the cave to shake. Large amounts of crack appeared on the cave walls and large amounts of dirt fell off. The moment the celestial sealing stamp fell, the ball of thunder arrived with a rumble. Bursts of angry roars came from the plant. This plant was heavily damaged, and as the thunder moved across the plant, mucus flew everywhere. Lei Ji was thrown away by the plant and landed on the ground with a thud. "Who made me awaken from my sleep? You have to pay the price with your life." A gloomy voice slowly came out from the planet. Aimlessly wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter 899. Resentment Hall Vice Hall Master. 1. The moment the voice echoed, the aura of a Nirvana Scryer cultivator immediately spread out and formed a storm. This storm swept by the plant and forcibly shook the golden runes off. An illusory shadow appeared over the broken plant. This was someone wearing a black robe and completely covered in a dark fog. Wang Lin's expression was still calm as he looked at the black-robed figure and coldly said, "A mere Nirvana Scryer origin soul. I want to see how you going to make me pay with my life." Wang Lin's right hand formed a seal, and with the point of his finger, the withered Dao pair on this right hand flew out. When the beast bone appeared, a ghostly light flashed within its eyes. A powerful evil aura spread out and gray light appeared on the plant. The black-robed man raised his head and looked at Wang Lin, without even looking at the plant, and flew away. The plant below him immediately collapsed and scattered. Strands of purple gas came out from the plant that collapsed and entered the black-robed figure. For an instant, the figure began to turn solid. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he took a step forward, and his two fingers formed a sword. He pointed forward and countless bolts of thunder appeared from the void, forming a thunderstorm. With Wang Lin's guidance, the thunderstorm closed in on the black-robed man. The black-robed man's expression was gloomy, and he immediately retreated while his hands formed a seal. A round, black screen appeared before him. The moment the thunderstorm arrived, a thunderous explosion echoed within the cave. The entire cave began to collapse on a large scale. The black-robed man let out a muffled groan and quickly retreated. "Faraway cultivator, if there is an issue, we can talk about it. This old man is Liu Qingyun, Corpse Sect Resentment Hall Vice Hall Master." The black-robed man was extremely shocked. He had just awakened, so his mind was still a blur. However, after he became sober, he found that the person who awakened him was a Nirvana Scryer cultivator. If he still had his body, he wouldn't have been afraid, but now he no longer had a body. Also, this person wasn't the only Nirvana Scryer cultivator. The big-headed boy was also a Nirvana Scryer cultivator, and although the puppet wasn't it was at the peak of the corporeal yang stage. The more he looked at the three, the more shocked he became. Not to mention the fact he didn't have a body. Even if he did, he would have to immediately escape when facing them. The only possible way for him to fight would be if he could successfully possess the giant demon clan body, as he would be able to send someone away. Then he would use the power of the body to fight another, and use his own spells to fight the last one. However, all of this was merely in his mind. The black-robed man wryly smiled in his heart and quickly said, "Fellow cultivator, I am afraid this is a misunderstanding. I have just awakened and said some words that might be offended fellow cultivator, so I hope you will forgive me. If fellow cultivator likes this giant demon clan body, I can gift it to you as a token of friendship." As he spoke, he continued to retreat. Wang Lin didn't say a word as he moved like lightning after the black-robed man. Faint ripples appeared under his feet, and his eyes shined as he chased after the black-robed man. Early stage Nirvana Scryer Origin Soul, a weakened Nirvana Scryer Origin Soul. With this, I am confident in allowing Ta Shan's body to reach the Nirvana Scryer stage. Lu Qingyun's eyes were filled with caution, and he secretly complained. The reason he chose this half-abandoned planet was because there was nothing of value here to attract cultivators at this level. The plan was to quietly spend thousands of years here to possess this body, and then return to the hall to compete for the position of Hall Master. However, he never would have imagined to attract a cultivator of this level here at the final moments. His mind quickly turned, and he immediately thought that this was a scheme by the other Vice Hall Masters. The three of them must have received some unknown benefits to come and destroy his base. They must have planned to attack him while he was still in his origin form state and wiped him out here. Damn it. In order to not attract the attention of the other Vice Hall Masters, I was extremely cautious. I didn't even send any cultivators under me to protect me and only secretly manipulated some things. I didn't expect my location to still be found. Lu Qingyun was gloomy, and as he retreated, he carefully looked at Wang Lin's group. The more he looked at them, the more unfamiliar they appeared. He was a Vice Hall Master of the Corpse Sect. Perhaps he hadn't seen all the Yin and Yang cultivator in the Alliance star system, but he had seen almost every cultivator who had reached the Nirvana Scryer stage. After all, not many cultivators could reach the Nirvana Scryer stage in the Alliance star system. In particular, that big-headed boy made him feel very confused. The big-headed boy's cultivation was at the Nirvana Scryer stage, but he couldn't feel any domain from him. Instead, he felt a powerful source of celestial spiritual energy. This celestial, Lu Qingyun's eyes widened and he retreated even faster. "You can escape." Ripples appeared under Wang Lin's feet and he suddenly disappeared. This almost made Lu Qingyun lose his wits. He screamed, "Spatial bending!" His origin soul immediately collapsed into countless specks of light. The specks of light scattered and escaped upward like crazy. Those other Vice Hall Masters sure paid big this time. To be able to invite a Nirvana Scryer cultivator who can use spatial bending, the price they paid must be unimaginable. Lu Qingyun was shaken, but at this moment, he was too busy to ponder it. Despair began to fill his heart. A cultivator who had mastered spatial bending was invincible among cultivators of the same level. They could advance and retreat as they wished. Fighting against someone like that was a nightmare. His origin soul turned into a ray of light and quickly escaped. However, Wang Lin stepped out from the void and mercilessly slammed his hand down. The world suddenly shook, and the powerful force caused the pieces of Lu Qingyun's body to fuse once more. His face was pale and he was about to retreat. A foolish laughter suddenly entered his ears. The big-headed boy shook his big head and blocked Lu Qingyun's path. In the distance, Ta Shan quickly closed in. Lu Qingyun bitterly smiled. He knew that he couldn't escape from a cultivator who had mastered spatial bending. He let out a sigh and said, "Fellow cultivator, there is no life or death feud between us. Can you leave me a path to survival? I'll definitely repay you." Wang Lin looked at Lu Qingyun and slowly asked, "How will you repay me?" Lu Qingyun clenched his teeth and said, "I have the origin soul of a Nirvana Scryer cultivator. How about that?" This was the origin soul of his mortal enemy. Many years ago he used the power of the Corpse Sect to destroy his enemy's body and took the origin soul. He originally wanted to use it to refine a puppet, but at this moment of life and death, he was willing to give it up. Wang Lin's expression remained neutral and he calmly said, "Oh, bring it here." Lu Qingyun's eyes lit up as he looked at Wang Lin and said, "Fellow cultivator, if I take it out and you still don't let me go." Before he finished speaking, Wang Lin frowned and coldly looked at Lu Qingyun. He coldly said, "I'll give you 3 breaths of time to consider." Lu Qingyun silently pondered before letting out a sigh. He touched between his brows with his right hand, There was a ripple and then a mirror appeared. After the mirror appeared, there was a flash of light and the origin soul of a middle-aged man slowly appeared. Liu Qingyun no longer hesitated. He sent the origin soul forward, and it landed in Wang Lin's hand. After carefully looking at the origin soul, Wang Lin nodded. This origin soul was indeed that of a Nirvana scryer cultivator. However, the mind was already gone, so it was only a shell of an origin soul. After taking the origin soul, Wang Lin shook his head. This isn't enough to trade for your life. Li Qingyun wryly smiled. He knew that the thing he gave was far too little compared to what the other Vice Hall Masters must have paid. After pondering a while, his face was filled with uncertainty. A moment later, he suddenly jerked his head up as he clenched his teeth and said, "Fellow cultivator, there is one thing I'm sure you will be satisfied with." As he spoke, there was a flash of viciousness in his eyes. His right hand touched the mirror that had appeared, and a powerful pressure suddenly came out of it. Bang, 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 the sound of a heart beating came from the mirror, and after that, a corpse floated out. This corpse was completely red, and the moment it appeared, a monstrous flame filled the world. This flame was so intense that even the big-headed boy's expression changed. This is the Fire Spirit Corpse, rank 12 on my Corpse Sect's corpse ranking. If one can successfully possess this corpse, then no fire spell in the world would be able to harm you. In addition, you would be able to control the fire of the world. The value of this corpse is extremely high and should be enough to exchange for my life. As Liu Qingyun spoke, he immediately threw the corpse at Wang Lin. The fire corpse was very fast and arrived near Wang Lin in an instant. However, as it got close, it suddenly opened its eyes and revealed a crazed light. Liu Qingyun's expression turned ferocious, and he shouted, "Explode!" The fire corpse collapsed. The power didn't affect planet Suzaku, it was all trapped in this small area. This way, its full power could be displayed. An unimaginable amount of flames suddenly charged into the sky and spread. In an instant, all the clouds disappeared and cracks appeared in the sky. This flame was too powerful, so Tashan had to retreat. Even the big-headed boy's expression was pale as he retreated. He knew that if the fire corpse had collapsed before him, he would not have been able to escape. He could have never guessed that Liu Qingyun would dare to fight when he was at such disadvantage. This was the first time the big-headed boy had gained a deep impression of Alliance cultivators. A mad laughter came from Liu Qingyun. Then his ferocious figure flashed and he charged straight for the sky. With his personality, he would naturally compromise. Everything he had done was deliberate to confuse the others for this moment. If the collapse of the fire corpse spread out, it couldn't even be enough to affect the planet. However, if he were to concentrate the power, even though it still wasn't enough to affect the planet, he was confident no one of the same cultivation level as him could withstand it. Although it pains my heart to lose the fire corpse, to use it to destroy a cultivator that can use spatial bending was well worth it. After this person dies, the other two can catch me at all. As Liu Qingyun laughed, he headed for the sky. He planned to return to the corpse sect as soon as possible to choose a body. As for the other Vice Hall Masters, he intended to get his revenge on them. "You can escape." The cold and relentless voice was like the cold wind when it reached Liu Qingyun's ears. His body trembled, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. His body stopped moving. Wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter 900. Resentment Hall Vice Hall Master. 2. Wang Lin's figure appeared before Liu Qingyun. He was calm and there were no injuries on his body. The image of a furnace slowly disappeared around Wang Lin. Not only was Liu Qingyun filled with disbelief, even the big-headed boy in the distance also gasped, and his eyes became filled with shock. He knew that Wang Lin was strong, but he didn't think Wang Lin could have escaped without a scratch. He no longer dared to go against Wang Lin anymore. He was now even more afraid of Wang Lin. Wang Lin coldly looked at Li Qingyun, took a step, and then disappeared. Liu Qingyun was terrified as he anxiously said, "Fellow cultivator, it was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. This time, I'll really give you a treasure to trade for my life. I have." Without waiting for him to finish, Wang Lin's figure appeared behind Liu Qingyun just as he turned around to escape. Both of Wang Lin's fingers contained the thunder of the heavens. As the thunder rumbled in the sky, Wang Lin pressed down on the center of Liu Qingyun's back. There was a loud bang, and Liu Qingyun was knocked away. His face was pale and his body was no longer solid. It was rapidly dissipating. Wang Lin had clearly seen through Liu Qingyun's trick. He had grown up in the Alliance star system and had witnessed too many sinister schemes. If he believed Liu Qingyun, then he would be Wang Lin. When Liu Qingyun took out the fire corpse, Wang Lin had already noticed something wrong and activated the ancient god furnace. The moment the fire corpse collapsed, he easily avoided everything with the ancient god furnace. Wang Lin had his reasons for giving Liu Qingyun this opportunity. He knew that as the vice hall master of the corpse sect, Liu Qingyun must have had some life-saving measures. If Wang Lin had just attacked, then during the heat of battle, it would have been difficult to kill this person without suffering injuries. Thus, Wang Lin simply waited for Liu Qingyun to use his ace so he could easily avoid it. The moment Liu Qingyun used his ace would also be the moment he died. In truth, everything was as Wang Lin expected. This time, he didn't hold back. After attacking, he merged with the world once more and charged directly at Liu Qingyun once more. Liu Qingyun was very smart. As his origin soul was dissipating, he let out a wry smile and realized what Wang Lin was thinking. He secretly regretted his actions. Wang Lin's figure appeared once more, and as he pointed with his finger, countless bolts of thunder shot out. Thunder rumbled in the sky as bolts of lightning descended on Liu Qingyun. Then Wang Lin's fingers continued to land on Liu Qingyun. Each finger caused Liu Qingyun's origin soul to almost collapse, and he continued to retreat. Seeing that he had almost no chance to escape, Liu Qingyun's eyes revealed a flash of viciousness, and he shouted, "If you want to kill me, then be buried with me." There was madness in Liu Qingyun's eyes as he chose to self-destruct without any hesitation. This wasn't all of his origin soul. With his cunning, he would never take this risk. Back then, he split off a small portion of his origin soul to save his life in a moment of crisis. At this moment, he decided to give it his all. A destructive aura came out from his origin soul. He had a ferocious expression as he was about to explode. The self-destruction of a Nirvana Scryer cultivator was far more powerful than the fire corpse. Once he exploded, planet Suzaku would collapse. All life on the planet aside from a select few would die. Its effect, the cultivation planet crystal, would be unimaginable. This was one of the main concerns Wang Lin had that prevented him from attacking right away. Seeing that Liu Qingyun chose to explode, Wang Lin was calm and softly said, "Celestial spell, stop!" In an instant, the stop spell suddenly appeared. This spell's power was increased after infusing it with the celestial origin energy from Qing Shui. Liu Qingyun's exploding origin soul was frozen in place. Wang Lin arrived in front of Liu Qingyun's origin soul. As he grabbed the origin soul, ripples appeared under his feet, then he disappeared without a trace. Ripples appeared somewhere in the Alliance star system far away from planet Suzaku. Wang Lin appeared and quickly placed restrictions on Liu Qingyun's origin soul. Then his left hand mercilessly slapped Liu Qingyun's origin soul. The origin energy in his body surged out and shook Liu Qingyun's origin soul. This caused the destructive aura coming from Liu Qingyun's origin tool to immediately dissipate. After placing countless restrictions on the origin soul to completely stop its self-destruction, Wang Lin threw the origin soul into his bag. He then turned around, ripples appeared under his feet, and it disappeared into the sky. The big-headed boy's pupils contracted and his fear of Wang Lin became even stronger in his heart. He knew that if he was facing that collapsing Nirvana Scryer origin soul, he wouldn't have been able to deal with it so easily. If he was careless, he could even been injured. In particular, when Liu Qingyun chose to self-destruct, the big-headed boy's scalp tinged. However, what shocked him even more was Wang Lin's calm expression that made it seem as if everything was going as planned. Wang Lin's actions were extremely fluid as he took away the origin soul. All of this shocked the big-headed boy. He truly respected Wang Lin at this moment. Serving as this person's servant is not an insult to my status. The big-headed boy took a deep breath. Ripples appeared in the sky before him, and Wang Lin appeared. Wang Lin didn't say anything to him before looking down on the earth and saying, "Lei Ji, come out!" The earth shook as Lei Ji's huge body slowly flew into the air. At this moment, he was still a bit weak. When he saw Wang Lin, his eyes contained a trace of awe. He was watching the battle just now, and he was very shocked by Wang Lin's strange spell and constantly calm expression. He stood there and respectfully said, "Lei Ji greets master. From now on, you are my mount. If you have any rebellious thoughts, your origin soul will be destroyed." When Wang Lin's eyes fell on Lei Ji felt as if two rays of sword energy had just pierced his eyes. His mind trembled, and he quickly nodded. Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and took out a bottle. He threw it at Lei Ji and said, "Take out some of your heart blood and fill this bottle." With that, Wang Lin began to walk forward. Ta Shan and the big-headed boy followed behind Wang Lin. Lei Ji held the small bottle and let out a sigh. Popping sounds came from his body, and his body immediately contracted. He went from being thousands of feet tall and shrank until he was only 30 feet tall as he followed Wang Lin. At the same time, his heart ached as he pointed at this heart with his right hand. Blood flew out of his heart and made its way into the small bottle. Wang Lin had saved this giant demon clan ancestor for the trace of ancient god aura in his blood. Although Wang Lin's cultivation level was higher during his return to the Alliance star system, the danger he sensed was also increasing. He needed to refine his spells on planet Suzaku, and the first were his ancient god spells. With this blood, Wang Lin would be able to use some of the ancient god spells. Even his original body would be able to use them. At this moment, there was a sea of flames in the far eastern side of the Alliance star system. There was a planet inside this sea of flames that was completely red. It was covered in flames as if it was a burning cultivation planet. This planet was named the Holy Vermilion Bird Planet. The only things near it were the remains of a star that were scattered all over the place. It was as if this place had spent countless years burning. A ray of red light came from the distant stars. It was a young cultivator riding a firebird. He went into the sea of flames and disappeared. There was a towering vermilion bird statue that pierced the heavens on that planet. This statue emitted endless heat, and there were 3 elders sitting on top of the statue. At this moment, the youth's figure appeared thousands of feet away as if he couldn't withstand the heat. The moment he appeared, he started sweating like crazy. Report: the Alheaven army has occupied 60% of the western region. There are 11 teams coming from 11 different directions. The leaders are the newly bestowed 108 Celestials. The one taking the lead is the Vice Thunder Celestial, Shu Ting. Is there any trace of Shu Mu? After a moment of silence, one of the old men above the vermilion bird spoke. Although his voice was soft, the temperature suddenly rose as if there was a change in the laws. The youth quickly retreated hundreds of feet before he was barely able to hold on and said, "Alheaven Thunder Celestia Shu Mu's location is still unknown. We are currently searching for him." Another old man smiled. "In less than 2 months, they only managed to take 60%. The Alheaven cultivators are pretty strict." The last old man calmly said, "Let's see how the plan of the Cultivation Alliance works out. It should give the Alheaven cultivators a profound lesson. Unfortunately, the Holy Emperor isn't here, or else my Holy Vermilion Bird Planet would also be able to obtain great benefits." Wishing for the like button for the VIDEO, hoping to double the likes on the VIDEO. In the meantime, everyone, throw your spare ones here. Chapter 901, Clearing All Karma, 1. On planet Suzaku in the Great Wang Dynasty Imperial Palace, all the Wang clan members had gathered in the square. They were all kneeling on the ground, and their expressions were changing between excitement and fear. It was completely silent. Before them was the Imperial Ancestral Hall. There were countless tablets hanging in the hall. However, it was not luxurious, and instead was very simple. Wang Lin was standing inside the Ancestral Hall, and was looking at the unfamiliar names on each of the tokens. Finally, he saw the tablet at the top which said Ancestor Wang Zhuo. Wang Lin silently pondered as scenes of Wang Zhuo from back then flashed before his eyes. Now that he had returned, they were separated by the heavens. Wang Zhuo had indeed fulfilled his promise to Wang Lin. He allowed Wang Lin to cultivate in peace while he guarded the Wang family descendants until his lifespan ended. Wang Lin let out a sigh. He felt like planet Suzaku was very unfamiliar when he returned this time. Even when it came to his own descendants, he felt no affection toward them. The only thing he felt was melancholy and pain in his heart. He couldn't find a trace of affection among these people. For the first time, he personally felt that the passage of time was like a ruthless river that washed away all his good memories of the past. Outside the ancestral hall, the Wang family descendants didn't even dare to breath hard. Their heartbeats all accelerated as they carefully looked at the unfamiliar but yet familiar ancestor. The 8 elders were in front of all the Wang family descendants, and they were kneeling as well. As they silently looked at Wang Lin, it was as if they could feel the age and sadness from him. Wang Lin's gaze went down starting at the top tablet and then fell on one of the tablets. This tablet said Ancestor Wang Yu. Wang Lin had same vague impression of the name Wang Yu. Back when the Forsaken Immortal clan was in war with Suzaku, they were capturing young children that could cultivate. One of them was Wang Yu. That child's life also ended. The sadness around Wang Lin became even stronger. He felt a very complex emotion in his heart. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of years had passed. Looking back, the passage of time had caused everything to change. It was very difficult to find even one person he knew. As he pondered, he turned around and walked out of the ancestral hall. Looking at the people kneeling in the square, although they all contained his bloodline, he didn't feel like they were relatives. All of you are now on your own. No more cultivators will get involved with the mortal world. As for the Great Wang dynasty, if anyone has the skill, then you can keep the inheritance for thousands of years. If all of you are muddled-headed and ruthless, then there is no need for this wealth. Although the things from before were because you were all affected by the resentment, this dynasty is filled with sadness. If this was caused by my Wang family, then all of you should just be civilians. After dealing with the karma of the Wang family, Wang Lin coldly looked at all of his descendants and then waves his sleeves before flying into the air. Ta Shan and the big-headed boy followed. The 30-foot-tall Lei Ji followed as well. After Wang Lin left, the square was completely silently. After a long time, the 8 elders stood up with gloomy expressions. They mercilessly looked around at the surrounding people, and one of them coldly said, "We were wrong to anger our ancestor. From today onward, there will be new clan laws, and anyone who violates them will be killed." Wang Lin moved between the heavens and earth. After dealing with his descendants, the melancholy in his heart didn't decrease. He walked to the cloud sky sect. As he moved, his expression changed, and he looked into the distance. He saw a centipede thousands of feet long quickly flying through the air with several cultivators on its back. One of the cultivators had the air of a celestial. He was wearing a yellow robe and had a sword on his back. The gentle wind caused the man's clothes to flutter and made him look every elegant. Sect Master Huang Longwan. When Wang Lin saw this person, his eyes immediately narrowed and shined. The portrait he saw in the demon spirit land immediately appeared in his mind, too. The centipede was very fast and disappeared in the blink of an eye over the horizon. However, Wang Lin could clearly feel a gaze looking at him from the back of the centipede. "Little fellow is not bad." A light chuckle entered Wang Lin's ear following that gaze. The laughter faded and finally disappeared without a trace. Wang Lin frowned slightly and looked at where the centipede disappeared. After pondering for a moment, Wang Lin headed toward the Cloud Sky sect. This whole matter was too strange, and Wang Lin didn't want to act carelessly. Tai Yan was still sitting in the square waiting for Wang Lin in the Cloud Sky sect. He knew Wang Lin would definitely come here. He didn't have much time left. His cultivation had degraded to the peak of the late stage of soul formation and could no longer break through back to soul transformation. He had slowly consumed all his lifespan. Originally, with his qualifications and Wang Lin's enlightenment, he shouldn't have ended up like this. However, an accident happened 100 years ago, but that accident was by his own will. On this day, a person slowly appeared in the sky before Tai Yan. Wang Lin stepped out and looked at the familiar scene, and finally his gaze fell on Tai Yan. At this moment, Tai Yan stood up, and his face was filled with excitement. He looked at Wang Lin, took a deep breath, and respectfully said, "Tai Yan greets benefactor." Wang Lin calmly asked, "Where is Zhou Ru?" Tai Yan revealed a complex expression. After silently pondering for a moment, he wryly smiled. That child Zhou Ru left planet Suzaku 100 years ago. Wang Lin looked at the sky, and the melancholy became even stronger. He let out a sigh as he looked at Tai Yan and said, "Is that the reason why your lifespan is ending and your cultivation degraded?" Tai Yan silently pondered and then nodded. It would be impossible for Zhou Ru to leave planet Suzaku with her cultivation. In order to help her fulfill her wish, he had used his own life along with Zhou Tai's help and a large amount of celestial jades to help Zhou Ru just barely reach the soul transformation stage. Nonsense. Wang Lin frowned as he looked at Tai Yan but didn't say any more. He slapped his bag of holding and a large amount of celestial jades flew out and started hovering in the sky. Then Wang Lin's right hand reached toward the void. Popping sounds echoed while a large amount of celestial jades collapsed. The dense celestial spiritual energy condensed into balls in Wang Lin's hand. The surrounding area was filled with celestial spiritual energy. Holding the ball of celestial spiritual energy, Wang Lin pressed it into Tian's body. Tian's body trembled. He felt as if there was a fire burning inside his body. He took out more celestial jades and threw them out until they formed a small hill in the square. Wang Lin turned around and walked into the air. Your cultivation degraded because of Zhou. This is karmic cause. Now I helped you recover your cultivation. This is karmic effect. As for these celestial jades, consider them my thanks for taking care of my Wang family descendants. From now on, don't bother with matters of my Wang family. Go cultivate in peace. Tian's body trembled greatly. As the celestial spiritual energy surged through his body, his cultivation quickly recovered. He nodded toward Wang Lin's disappearing figure. 9 rays of light broke through the sky and quickly fell before Tian. The 9 swords gave off a powerful burst of sword energy that swept the area. I gift these swords to you. Wang Lin's voice seemed to come from the distant void. It was like the ethereal clouds. After dealing with the karma at the cloud sky sect, Wang Lin flew into the sky. The yin and yang fishes appeared and slowly rotated above his head. After dealing with the karma of his descendants and the cloud sky sect, his understanding of karma suddenly increased. The enlightenment in my domain is the focus of the second step. According to the karma domain, everything that has karmic cause must have karmic effect. Only a complete karma can form a cycle, and only by completing countless cycles can I truly complete my karma. I didn't expect that me returning to planet Suzaku would be in line with this. Wang Lin let out a sigh and closed his eyes. His divine sense covered the entire planet. Karma domain, I must repay all those that had helped me. I must close all karma with those I wronged while pondering. Wang Lin's divine sense was like a storm that continued to spread across planet Suzaku. Not long after, Wang Lin's divine sense existed everywhere on planet Suzaku. Planet Suzaku, rank 5 cultivation country of Zhao, the He-Huan sect. A beautiful woman was sitting in a cave cultivating in the back mountain of the He-Huan sect. The spot she was cultivating in was a special place for the inner sect members of the He-Huan sect. This place had several times more spiritual energy than outside. As she was cultivating, a chuckle came from outside the cave. Junior Sister Zhang, don't forget your promise. Since I let you cultivate in my cave for 1 month, you will have to be my cultivation partner for 3 days. Only 4 more days until 1 month has passed. This voice was filled with the intent to tease. After the laughing, the voice gradually left. The woman opened her eyes and let out a sigh. She was an outer disciple of the He-Huan sect. The spiritual energy outside was too thin to reach the 9th layer of QI condensation. She could only make her breakthrough here. In the family tree, the family's ancestor, Zhang Hu, III, was also a cultivator. 1,000 years ago, he entered the Heng Yue sect. Unfortunately, after 1,000 years, all of that is gone, so I could only become an outer disciple of the He-Huan sect. The woman had just closed her eyes to continue cultivating with a hint of bitterness when she looked ahead. Her eyes were filled with shock. She saw a young man in white silently appear. This young man looked normal, but there was an unspeakable aura coming from him. Wang Lin calmly looked at the woman before him. He slapped his bag of holding, causing spirit stones and celestial jades to fly out. There was even a flying sword. I knew your ancestor. The karmic cause of the past forms the karmic effect of today. Under the woman's dumbfounded gaze, Wang Lin let out a melancholy sigh and left. Zhang Hu had already died. With Wang Lin's cultivation, he was able to detect a trace of Zhang Hu's bloodline in this woman. 1. The sect master of the Heng Yue sect. First sect Wang Lin joined. 2. Chapter 3. Wang Lin's friend from the Heng Yue sect. He killed a disciple in charge of managing their duties and ran off. Later, Wang Lin met him, and Wang Lin helped him kill his master, which led to the incident with the Tang family. Wishing for the like button for the video. Thinking nonsense. Wishing for the like button for the video. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 902. Clearing All Karma. 2. Rank 4 Cultivation Country Huo Fen. A very beautiful woman in a palace dress was sitting in the hall of the war god temple. This woman was at the late stage of soul formation. There were celestial jades placed next to her. It was obvious she was attempting to reach the soul transformation stage. Before her sat a young man. Although he was a young man, he gave off an ancient aura. He was at the late stage of soul formation as well. While looking at the woman, he let out a sigh and said, "Junior Sister Zhou, there aren't enough celestial jades to allow both of us to continue absorbing. You should go first. If you can reach the soul transformation stage, then our country of Haofen can be promoted." The woman silently pondered. A moment later, she looked at the man and softly said, "Senior Brother Yang, if I can reach the soul transformation stage, then the two of us should become a cultivation pair." After she spoke, she let out a sigh. For some reason, she couldn't help but think of a person from the past. The man bitterly smiled and shook his head. "I don't have much lifespan left, so you don't need to do this. I am doing this of my own will. Besides, I've heard that he has returned to planet Suzaku." As the two people pondered, a person silently appeared in the hall. "Yang Xiong, Zhou Zihong, how have you two been?" A melancholy voice echoed in the hall. The man and woman were startled and immediately looked over. Wang Lin looked at the two familiar figures that hadn't changed at all. This was due to the spirit liquid he gave them back in the foreign battleground. Wang Lin. Wang Lin smiled as he looked at the two of them, but he didn't say much. He slapped his bag of holding and large amount of celestial jades flew out and filled the hall. "For the two of you to be able to tie the knot, consider these celestial jades a gift from me." Wang Lin's words were filled with sincerity. He then took out some pills before he turned around and left. In the rank cultivation country that the giant demon clan controlled, Chihu's appearance hadn't changed much, but now he gave off an ancient aura. The giant demon clan members had much longer lifespans than normal cultivators, and Chihu had already become the patriarch of the giant demon clan. He had reached the late stage of soul transformation and was only one step away from ascendant. However, given his powerful body and bloodline ability, he even dared to fight ascendant cultivators. During these hundreds of years of time, Chihu had become even more dependable and now held a certain position on planet Suzaku. The giant demon clan was a backbone force of planet Suzaku. However, the passage of time couldn't wash away the melancholy he had for a friend. With his status, he naturally knew of Wang Lin's return. He even saw the battle between Wang Lin and the big-headed boy. His heart felt very complex emotions. On this day, while he was cultivating, he suddenly opened his eyes and his body trembled. Before him, Wang Lin's figure looked toward him. "Brother Chihu, long time no see." "Seng Niu." Chihu had a bitter expression as he looked at Wang Lin and wasn't able to say anything for a long time. Don't mention things of the past anymore. As he spoke, Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and large amount of celestial jades flew out, forming a small hill. At the same time, he took out a small bottle containing Lei Ji's blood. The celestial jades are to help you reach the ascendant stage. The small bottle contains the blood of your giant demon clan ancestor. It can help your bloodline ability. Goodbye, Chihu. Wang Lin let out a sigh and left. Chihu stared at where Wang Lin disappeared. The complex emotion in his eyes became even stronger. A very old man was sitting in a place filled with skeletons in the Sea of Devils. He was at the late stage of soul formation. At this moment, he absorbed large amount of yin energy and his face revealed a painful struggle. The veins on his face bulged, revealing red lines. As he absorbed yin energy, the black lines were suppressed. After a long time, he let out a long sigh. His face looked very tired and he was covered in sweat. Scarlet Blood Ancestor, if I, Li Qiqing, don't get my revenge, then I am not human. His face revealed a hideous expression and an unimaginable hatred had built up inside him. This hatred was almost monstrous. There was a pale blue circle within 1,000 feet of him. His cultivation had drawn the attention of some of the beasts in the Sea of Devils. The monsters quickly closed in, but they let out miserable screams when they touched those blue traces. Their bodies quickly withered. Just at this moment, the old man's eyes suddenly opened, and his body moved in a flash. He appeared next to the demonic beast and grabbed onto the IT. He pounced on the beast, bit down on his neck, and mercilessly sucked. The demonic beast's body withered at a visible rate, and soon became a mummy. The old man's body flashed and appeared next to another beast. This continued, and soon all the demonic beasts died. The old man's face turned slightly red. He took a deep breath as he returned to where he was cultivating. He looked out at the sea of devils, and his eyes revealed a powerful sense of hatred. Scarlet blood ancestor, if it wasn't for you hunting my sister, how could she have met the Wang Lin? Li Qiqing was Li Muwan's brother, and also her only family member. This scarlet blood ancestor was the cultivator that was hunting Li Muwan. Li Qiqing's hatred for this person was extremely strong. He was able to find that this scarlet blood ancestor had come to the Sea of Devils, which was why Li Qiqing had secretly come as well. He originally wanted to get revenge, but his cultivation level wasn't high enough, and he instead was affected by a blood rune. Now he was living a life no better than death, but the hatred was even stronger. A flash of coldness appeared inside his eyes, and he took a deep breath. He knew that every time the blood rune activated, the scarlet blood ancestor would know his location, so he had to leave quickly. However, his pupils suddenly shrank, all the hair on his body stood up, and he looked straight ahead. He saw Wang Lin's figure appear dozens of feet away from him. Wang Lin revealed a complex emotion when he looked at this old man. Li Qiqing stared at Wang Lin. After a long time, his body jerked and his eyes revealed a look of disbelief. He took a few steps back and shouted, "Who the hell are you?" He had seen Wang Lin a long time ago, and during these hundreds of years, he had seen Wang Lin's statue, so how could he not recognize Wang Lin? However, suddenly seeing Wang Lin made his mind tremble. He didn't know that Wang Lin had returned to planet Suzaku. While Wang Lin silently pondered, he slapped his bag of holding, and the heaven-avoiding coffin flew out. Li Muwan was lying inside, and there was still a smile on her face. Li Qiqing's body trembled as he looked at the coffin. At this moment, everything before him disappeared, and the only thing that existed was his little sister in the coffin. He hadn't seen her in hundreds of years, his only remaining loved one. Little sister tears came from Li Qiqing's eyes. The ruthlessness that was in his eyes a moment ago disappeared and was replaced with familial love. Before father and mother left, they made me promise to take care of you. Big brother was useless to not be able to take care of you. Li Qiqing's face was filled with sadness as he looked at the woman in the coffin. A heart-wrenching pain filled his body. Wang Lin didn't speak and silently stood on the side. Time seemed to last forever as it slowly passed. All kind of thoughts drowned Li Qiqing's mind as he sat next to the coffin looking at his little sister. Just at this moment, a roar came from the distance, and 3 rays of sword energy came with it. The sword energy in front was red, and an old man was standing on top of it. This person was at the late stage of soul transformation. His face was filled with arrogance, and the 2 middle-aged men behind him looked at the old man with respect. "Li Qiqing, I want to see where you can run off to now," the old man sneered as he closed in. He immediately saw Li Qiqing and the coffin with Li Muwan inside. Along with them, he also saw Wang Lin. This strange scene caused him to stop, and his eyes lit up. He carefully looked at the coffin and noticed rich celestial spiritual energy coming from within it. Greed immediately appeared in his eyes. However, when his gaze fell on Wang Lin, he was immediately startled. He felt like this person looked familiar. While he was pondering, Wang Lin coldly looked at him. This gaze caused the old man's mind to tremble violently. The sword energy under his feet collapsed, and he subconsciously took a few steps back while coughing up blood. His eyes were filled with terror, but at this moment, he recognized Wang Lin. Wang Lin! The old man gasped and lost his wit as he turned to escape. While he ran, he grabbed his 2 disciples and threw them without hesitation in order to stop Wang Lin's pursuit. He shouted, "Explode!" Wishing for the like button for the VIDEO, hoping to charge through the trending charts for the VIDEO this month. Chapter 903, Clearing All Karma. 3. The Scarlet Blood Ancestor was a cautious person, and he had planted controlling seals in all the disciples under him. Under his control, the 2 disciples' bodies exploded into a mist of blood that charged toward Wang Lin. Taking this opportunity, he escaped while trembling. His mind was blank, The only thought in his mind was to escape. His scalp was numb and his heart was filled with fear. He always had a thorn in his heart. And that thorn was back when he chased after a female cultivator near the border between the Sea of Devils and the country of Haofen. He met a junior, who saved that female cultivator, and then escaped into the Sea of Devils. Originally he wouldn't care about it at all, but as time passed, and the name Sang Niu became more famous, he trembled. He recognized Sang Niu as the junior that saved the female cultivator and escaped into the Sea of Devils. What made him even more shocked was the series of events that followed. This Sang Niu shined during the war between the Forsaken Immortal clan and the country of Suzaku. Afterward he found out that the current Suzaku position was given to Zhou Wu Tai by Sang Niu, who was Wang Lin. All of this made him very cautious, and it wasn't until Wang Lin left planet Suzaku that he finally relaxed. However, he would have never expected to meet Wang Lin today. He shouldn't be able to remember me. The man's mind trembled, but he continued to hope for a miracle. It's you. A flash of cold light appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. With Wang Lin's intelligence, he was immediately able to see through what had happened. This person had come here to kill Li Muan's brother, and their feud was very likely related to what happened back then. Killing intent flashed through Wang Lin's eyes. He waved his hand and the impact from the blood mist created by the two cultivators exploding was pushed right back toward the old man. The old man was terrified, and he wanted to teleport, but it was too late. He was caught by the blood mist and bursts of screams came from inside the blood mist. Wang Lin waved his right hand. There was a boom as more blood mist appeared. Eventually, all of the blood dissipated into nothing. From start to end, Li Qiqing didn't raise his head, as if he wasn't aware of his surroundings at all. In his eyes, there was only Li Muan. Time passed. After a long time, Li Qiqing took a deep breath and became sober. He carefully looked at Li Muan inside the coffin as if he wanted to engrave his sister in his heart. Then he stood up and walked off into the distance without even looking at Wang Lin. With the death of the scarlet blood ancestor, the red lines on Li Qiqing's face were broken. Wang Lin looked at Li Qiqing's figure but didn't speak. He understood Li Qiqing's thoughts. Li Qiqing's indifferent actions meant that he didn't want to have any ties with Wang Lin. After letting out a sigh, Wang Lin put the heaven-avoiding coffin in his bag and then flew into the sky. All karma has been dealt with. Wang Lin floated in the air and looked at planet Suzaku below him. This planet was considered half-abandoned, as the spiritual energy was very weak. Zhou Wu Tai, since you read the Suzaku, then I'll use planet Suzaku to complete my karma with you. Wang Lin's eyes were calm as ripples appeared under his feet and he disappeared. Wang Lin's figure appeared next to an uninhabited planet in the Alliance star system. While looking at the planet before him, he raised his right hand. His early-stage Nirvana Scryer cultivation appeared without reservation and his eyes lit up. Then his right hand reached out and mercilessly pulled back. The planet trembled violently. A moment later, an ancient aura came from the planet, as if there was a giant invisible hand pulling it. Planet soul extraction. Wang Lin didn't exact it all but stopped after taking 1/3 of it. Although losing 1/3 of the planet's soul would affect the planet, it wouldn't be too drastic. Along the way, Wang Lin extracted the souls of several planets. Even with his cultivation, he felt tired. Unfortunately, the big-headed boy couldn't merge with the world, so only he could do something like this. One day later, Wang Lin merged with the world while holding the planet's souls he had extracted, and returned to planet Suzaku. The moment he appeared over Suzaku, an ancient aura came from his right hand. In his palm were 7 balls of light. Each ball gave off an ancient aura. These were the planet's souls he had extracted. After taking a deep breath, Wang Lin's left hand picked up a ball and flicked it. This ball of light flew at an extremely fast speed and instantly fused with planet Suzaku. Planet Suzaku suddenly trembled. This wasn't the planet itself trembling, but the soul of the planet. At this moment, a large amount of spirit veins appeared deep inside planet Suzaku. It began to slowly recover its vitality from its half-abandoned state. Wang Lin didn't stop. He picked up the second ball of soul and flicked at the planet. Planet Suzaku's soul trembled even more and spirit veins began to form like crazy. Those mountains that already existed were suddenly filled with spiritual energy. All the mortals only felt a warmth coming from the earth. They felt refreshed, and all their illnesses went away. The third, fourth, and fifth souls were all thrown by Wang Lin into the planet. At this moment, the cry of a phoenix that only very few cultivators could hear came from planet Suzaku. It was as if Suzaku had regained vitality. Inside the earth, spiritual energy reappeared in dried-up spirit veins. At this moment, the amount of spiritual energy on planet Suzaku reached a certain height. Not only this, but all the cultivators felt the spiritual energy on the planet become active. It even caused the spiritual energy inside their bodies to active on its own. Feeling the surrounding spiritual energy, Wang Lin threw the sixth ball of soul into planet Suzaku. At this moment, the mountains became greener, the water became more clear, and a fragrance seemed to come from the planet. Ripples of vitality echoed across planet Suzaku. When the last ball of soul was thrown into the planet by Wang Lin, the trembling of planet Suzaku's soul reached its peak. Even the talent of those mortals who didn't have obvious talent to cultivate became much stronger. In addition, countless low-level cultivators were able to immediately break through a bottleneck during this massive increase in spiritual energy on the planet. A large number of cultivators from various sects gave up everything they were doing and began to immerse themselves in cultivation. They were absorbing the spiritual energy from the planet like crazy. Although planet Suzaku hadn't reached the quality of a top-quality planet, it was no longer half-abandoned. Its spiritual energy had reached the peak of its prime. Zhou Wutai stood on top of Mount Suzaku as he looked at the sky with a complex gaze. He exhaled deeply and muttered, "Thank you, Brother Wang." In the country of Suzaku before a sect, an old cultivator that looked exactly like Huang Long smiled and shook his head. To use the soul of 7 planets to replenish the vitality of one is not cost-effective. However, this obviously shows how much this child cares about his homeland, which is good. I don't know what he will choose in the battle between the Alheaven star system and the Alliance star system. Wang Lin looked at the earth before taking a step and disappearing. When he reappeared, he was in a valley. The valley looked exactly the same as when he left. The karma has been dealt with, so it is time to leave. However, before leaving, I must head to that place in the Forsaken Immortal clan. Unfortunately, I still can't find a way to increase the celestial origin energy in my body. Otherwise, I could study magic arsenal. Wang Lin's gaze was calm as he looked into the distance. In the Alliance star system, there was an isolated system where there were countless black buildings. These buildings all had different styles, and they looked like large swords that were stabbed into the void. There was a tower at the center. This tower was tens of thousands of feet tall. There were black chains all over the tower connecting it to the surrounding buildings. The Cultivation Alliance was split into 2 sects, 4 temples, and 8 domains. This was the Slaughter domain. A ghostly figure appeared from the void. It moved like lightning and arrived above a building. This figure knelt down, revealing himself to be an old man. He bowed toward the center tower and said, "Traces of the Alheaven's new Thunder Celestial, Shu Mu, have been found. Soul Kill II brings Shu Mu's head to me. This will be a gift to the Alheaven cultivator from the Slaughter domain." An ice-cold, eerie voice came from the tower. "The video schedule for first is up, and I ask all friends not to be stingy. Remember to share Leo. If you're capable, friends, please be prepared to support Leo with a like." Chapter 904, Exploring the Immortal Graveyard. An old man was sitting next to the huge pit where the Forsaken Immortal clan was once sealed on planet Suzaku. This old man wore a red robe and had a head of red hair. There was a plant flashing on his forehead with 11 leaves stretched open. However, on top of the 11th leaf, there was another half leaf. If this half leaf completely opened, this old man would instantly become a 12-leaf Forsaken Immortal clan member. In the Forsaken Immortal clan, a leaf clan member was equivalent to an illusory yin cultivator. The old man quietly sat there. He was motionless as if he was eternal. On this day, 4 rays of light flew across the sky, and the old man opened his eyes as he looked into the sky. Just as he was about to speak, his body trembled as he stared at one person among the 4 rays of light. Wang Lin landed on the ground and looked at the deep pit and the old man staring at Ta Shan. After pondering for a moment, he slowly said, "Long time no see, Senior Yun Kezi." The old man was Yun Kezi, and his eyes were filled with shock. He withdrew his gaze from Ta Shan, and a storm set off in his heart. He looked at Wang Lin and bitterly said, "I merely started cultivating before you. No need to call me senior." Fellow cultivator Wang Lin, is he a member of my forsaken immortal clan? Yun Kezi pointed at Ta Shan. Ta Shan's expression was cold. He didn't even look at Yun Kezi. He is a member of the chosen immortal clan. Wang Lin let out a sigh and walked into the deep pit. Ta Shan followed, and as for the big-headed boy, he smiled foolishly at Yun Kezi before following Wang Lin in. When he saw the smile of the big-headed boy, a pressure from his soul exploded forth. His face turned pale and the complex emotion on his face became even stronger. Lei Ji followed after. He was extremely respectful to Wang Lin, especially after seeing Wang Lin's spells. Wang Lin was able to change the spiritual energy of planet Suzaku, which shocked him greatly. He had heard of this spell before. Only cultivators whose names spread far across the Alliance star system could sow something like this. Yun Kezi wryly smiled, and his body flickered as he entered the deep pit. Along the way, Wang Lin didn't move that fast. He slowly moved through the immortal graveyard. The forsaken immortal clan had moved out of here, and there was no one left. As he descended layer by layer, Wang Lin remembered that the deepest he went was the 11th layer. There, he met the third ancestor of the forsaken immortal clan, and was hunted by her until he took out the scroll that sealed the woman from the Xiang family. Only then was he able to escape that crisis. Through the horror displayed on the face of the forsaken immortal clan third ancestor's face, Wang Lin knew that the scroll was somehow connected to the forsaken immortal clan. The deeper he went down, the darker it became, as if there hadn't been people here for hundreds of years. There were no signs of life, only rich yin energy. If it was before, Wang Lin would feel discomfort from this yin energy, and as he descended, he would eventually be unable to move forward due to the yin energy. However, this yin energy was really insignificant. He didn't even need to activate his origin energy. This yin energy seemed to possess intelligence and didn't dare to approach him at all. As he descended, the yin energy formed a vortex before him, as if it was opening a passage for him. As he moved, Wang Lin pondered. The forsaken immortal clan and the chosen immortal clan were obviously the same people. He was even more certain now after seeing Yun Kuezi's response to the big-headed boy. This clan wasn't afraid of celestial spiritual energy from celestial jades, but once celestial origin energy came from a celestial, a force would come from their soul to make them yield. The key to all of this was celestial origin energy. Thinking of celestial origin energy, Wang Lin felt bitter. The celestial origin energy he had was a gift from Qing Shui and was not unlimited. Every time he used a celestial spell, it would consume some of it. If he couldn't find a way to replenish it, it would eventually be exhausted. The celestial spells Qing Shui gave him, Summon the Rain and Magical Arsenal, all had high celestial origin energy requirements. If he didn't have enough, he wouldn't even be able to learn them, much less use them. This was also why Qing Shui wanted Wang Lin to enter the celestial pool and why he gifted Wang Lin the celestial origin energy. However, there were too many disadvantages to entering the celestial pool, so Wang Lin wasn't willing to choose it. Although he had celestial origin energy in his body, there weren't a lot of ways to replenish it. Even if he were to absorb celestial spiritual energy from celestial jades, he still wouldn't be able to from celestial origin energy in his body. After taking the big-headed boy as his servant, Wang Lin tried, but it still didn't work. Left with no choice, Wang Lin could only conserve his use of celestial origin energy. Not long after, Wang Lin arrived at the TH layer for the second time. This TH layer wasn't large. There were many gulches on the floor with red liquid flowing through them. In Wang Lin's eyes, they form a blood symbol. The 11th layer was empty, with only the sound of the liquid moving. Yun Kezi slowly said, "This one of the forsaken immortal clan's ancestral marks." This place had a total of 19 layers. Aside from the earliest ancestors, the descendants could only reach the 16th layer. No one could enter the last 3 layers. Wang Lin nodded. Then his divine sense spread out and found the entrance to the TH layer. In a flash, he charged toward that entrance. 12th layer, 13th layer, 14th layer, 15th layer, 16th layer. With Wang Lin's cultivation, he faced no obstructions and directly arrived at the TH layer. There were also blood-red tattoos on the floor of the TH layer, but they were much more complex. Just looking at them would make one confused. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed as he looked at the 13 coffins placed here. Each had a tattoo flashing above it. There was a black pool of water at the very center. It gave off waves of yin energy that filled the lair. Red liquid was coming from the tattoos and flowed into the pool, forming a cycle. What was strange was that the red liquid became black once it entered the pool, but once the black liquid flowed out of the pool, it turned red again. This place is a bit interesting. Wang Lin moved next to the pool of water and carefully looked at it. Xianxia Silentality pondered for a moment and then said, "Only the ancestor who had reached the leaf stage could enter back then. These coffins should all be ancestors of my forsaken immortal clan. Rumor has it that the 18th layer has the origin of my forsaken immortal clan. As for the theat floor, it was rumored to hold the remnant souls of my forsaken immortal clan's first ancestor, fellow cultivator Wang. If you can break into the theat layer, please look at our past and allow me to comprehend my ancestor's origin." He looked at Wang Lin. The little boy from the past had disappeared and was replaced with a powerful cultivator who could easily shake planet Suzaku with a stamp of his foot. During these last few days, he wondered if this powerful cultivator exists if he hadn't helped Wang Lin reach the soul formation stage. Wang Lin looked at Xianxia and nodded. He owed Xianxia even though he found out that Xianxia had other motives. The yin energy coming out from the black water was very powerful, and there was seal on it. From Wang Lin's view, not even someone at the peak of the corporeal yang stage could break the seal. In addition, there were certain bloodline requirements on the seal. If one didn't have the forsaken immortal bloodline, it was even more difficult to enter. No wonder no one could enter the 17th layer. This kind of powerful seal is not something an ordinary cultivator can open. Wang Lin pondered as he stared at the black pool. He naturally had his own reasons for coming here. The reason was the yellow talisman the Yao family member took out when battling Wang Lin. There was a very strange power within that talisman that completely sealed the power inside his body. Even today, Wang Lin clearly remembered what happened. He still had one more talisman on him. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin calmly said, "Big head, use all your power and display your most powerful celestial spell at the pool." The big-headed boy didn't waste time. The celestial origin energy in his body began to move. A storm of celestial origin energy erupted from his body and created a huge pressure. Xianxia was the first that couldn't withstand it. He subconsciously retreated, and his face turned pale. It was as if there was a power coming from his soul forcing him to yield. If he didn't yield, he would be torn apart. Under this force, Xianxia let out a roar. The veins on his face popped and he struggled desperately. Fortunately, the big-headed boy wasn't targeting Xianxia, so this allowed him to struggle. As the big-headed boy's celestial origin energy cycled, he pointed at his head. His head immediately grew twice as large and red tendons flew out, creating a huge impact at the pool of water. There was a heaven-shattering bang as a ripple was set off inside the pool and it began to slowly rotate. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He clearly saw that the seal on the pool of water was showing signs of breaking under the big-headed boy's attack. However, the signs were not obvious. Just as they were about to disappear, Wang Lin's two fingers formed a sword. Then thunder filled his eyes and the heavens' thunder seemed to gather like crazy toward his finger. As he stepped forward, he pointed at the pool of water. This caused countless bolts of lightning to shoot out from Wang Lin's fingers, and they flew like dragons toward the pool of water. There was a loud bang and large amount of cracks appeared on the floor of the TH layer. Large amounts of yin energy came out from the crack, and a huge wave was set off in the pool of water. The pool floated into the air and changed into a black tattoo within the moving thunder. This tattoo was too complex, and it was so dense that it was impossible to clearly see what it looked like. However, Wang Lin didn't care what it looked like. He didn't want the seal's approval. He wanted to break it open by force. The VIDEO has reached first place in the ranking but still can't maintain the top position. Urgently wishing for all friends to push a round of VIDEO, Leo is extremely grateful. Chapter 905, Celestial Punishment. Popping sounds came from the tattoo as the thunder moved around it. Every time two bolts of thunder collided, the tattoo would tremble. As it trembled, it began to shatter and layers of seals collapsed. Wang Lin's eyes turned cold as he raised his right hand and the withered Dao pair suddenly appeared. After the beast bone came out, there was a flash of light and an evil aura filled the area. The collapsing tattoo suddenly trembled as a gray light appeared, and began it to turn to stone. At this moment, Tashan stepped out and threw a punch. A loud bang echoed within the 16th layer, and then the tattoo collapsed. As the thunder moved, there were a series of popping sounds as the tattoo turned into countless specks of black light and dissipated. At the moment it disappeared, a transfer array appeared in the pool. The transfer array gave off a strange glow. There was a man who looked like Wang Lin in a sect on planet Suzaku. He was talking to a few low-level cultivators, with a smile on his face when he suddenly looked into the distance. This was also the instant the passage to the TH layer opened. After a long time he withdrew his gaze and thought, forget it, there is nothing he can see on the TH layer. That little guy's cultivation has reached a point where he can know certain secrets. However, the 17th layer is his limit. He won't be able to enter the 18th layer. In the TH layer of the Immortal Graveyard, Tashan stepped into the transfer array and disappeared. Wang Lin waited a moment to confirm there was no danger before stepping in as well. The big-headed boy, Lei Ji, and Yun Kezi quickly entered the transfer array as well. The TH layer of the Forsaken Graveyard was completely dark without any light and was filled with a powerful death aura. At this moment, the light of a transfer formation suddenly appeared at the center. With the help of this light, the surroundings became visible. This was an area thousands of feet wide with chains hanging everywhere. There were corpses hanging on the chains, and what the chains gave off was celestial spiritual energy. These corpses were all celestials. But this celestial spiritual energy had no vitality and was filled with death, as if these corpses had been here for countless years. In an instant, the light from the formation disappeared and several people appeared. Tashan was the first person to enter this place. After he entered, his eyes lit up and he looked around. Even with his indifference, his pupils shrank as he looked around. This place was completely dark, but it couldn't obstruct divine sense. When Wang Lin appeared, he spread out his divine sense and his expression became gloomy. Not only him, but the big-headed boy's face turned pale after seeing everything. He had entered the celestial pool and lost his domain to truly become a celestial. So the shock he got from seeing the 17th layer was far beyond what the others felt. What horrified him even more was that his powerful celestial origin was trembling as if there was a strange force suppressing it. Under this suppression, the big-headed boy seemed to be able to hear mournful cries. His face turned pale and his body trembled as he coughed out a mouthful of blood. Fortunately, Wang Lin noticed what was happening to the big-headed boy and placed his right hand on the big-headed boy's back. Wang Lin injected a large amount of origin energy, which allowed the big-headed boy to become sober. He looked at the surroundings with deep awe. Yun Kezi was completely different from the big-headed boy. He clearly felt the aura of his ancestors here. The tattoo on his body began to move on its own. It quickly shrank and began to degrade. The tattoos on his body moved like flowing water. It was as if there was an invisible force squeezing the tattoos to gather toward Yun Kezi's chest. What surprised Yun Kezi was that his original respect for the big-headed boy had now changed. It was as if there was a force suppressing that respect. Wang Lin was also affected. After entering, Wang Lin immediately realized that the celestial origin energy given to him by Qing Shui was suppressed. It was as if it had been submerged in water and began to move a lot slower. The surroundings were completely silent and dark. However, for Wang Lin and company, they could clearly see everything. This TH layer wasn't very big, and there were countless chains hanging from the surrounding the walls, locking the corpses in place. These corpses were all like mummies, and their pelvises were pierced by the chains. Some of them even had chains going through their shoulder blades. These corpses were densely packed. There were at least 100. There were traces of being whipped on all these corpses. It seemed they all had suffered unimaginable torture before they died miserably. There were tattoos flashing on their bodies. Every time the tattoos flashed, the celestial spiritual energy coming from their bodies would become even stronger. As for why celestial spiritual energy was leaking from their bodies, it was because their origin souls were sealed inside their bodies by a powerful spell. Their bodies had died, so endless death aura was eroding their origin souls. Their origin souls, however, kept their consciousness, but couldn't leave the bodies. They could only watch helplessly as their bodies dried up and let the death aura invade them until they were wiped out. This kind of torture released a powerful hatred for celestials. This hatred was absolute and shocked Wang Lin greatly. This Xianxia stared dumbfoundedly at everything before him, and couldn't say a word for a long time. These are celestials. When they were alive, their cultivation levels were all a bit higher than mine. The big-headed boy felt most connected to this place, and he felt inexplicably disturbed here. Just at this moment, there were sounds of chains colliding. One of the mummies began to move and a tattoo flashed. The tattoo penetrated into the mummy and fused with it. At this moment, the mummy suddenly opened its eyes. There was no light in its eyes, and its eye sockets were completely hollow. However, unimaginable hatred and killing intent exploded from those eyes. "Celestial die!" A roar echoed, and the chain on the corpse suddenly turned transparent. In almost an instant, it dissipated. Without the chain, the mummy immediately rushed out. A strange celestial spiritual energy formed a storm as it charged at the big-headed boy. The big-headed boy's face turned pale, and he subconsciously took a few steps back. His eyes revealed a vicious gaze as his hand formed a seal and his celestial origin energy activated. He was about to use a celestial spell. However, just at this moment, something strange suddenly occurred. The moment the big-headed boy's celestial origin energy activated, it began to scatter and dissipate. The rate of dissipation was far faster than what the big-headed boy had expected. Before he even used his celestial spell, a large amount of his celestial origin energy dissipated. This made him almost lose his wits. Seeing the mummy closing in, Wang Lin's eyes turned cold and he took a step forward. His finger pressed down on the void and the origin energy in his body surged. There was a bang and the mummy was knocked back dozens of feet. Tashan charged out like lightning, and his right hand formed a first. A tattoo appeared on his fist, and when the mummy saw the tattoo, it immediately became respectful and retreated as if it didn't dare to exchange blows with Tashan. Xianxia stared at the scene before him. At this instant, it was as if lightning had struck him. He recalled a rumor from long time ago. This is my Forsaken Immortal Clan's torture chamber. Rumor has it that when the oldest Forsaken Immortal Clan ancestor came to planet Suzaku, he opened up a lair outside the last two and named it the torture chamber. If people not from my Forsaken Immortal Clan entered, they would immediately be killed. I didn't expect this to be real. As Xianxia's voice echoed, the chains began to echo once more. At this moment, all of the corpses being held by the chains suddenly opened their eyes. Vicious gazes came from their faces, and as they let out roars, the chains that were holding them disappeared, allowing them freedom. Each one of them was like a ferocious beast, and they charged straight at Wang Lin, the big-headed boy, and Lei Ji. Wang Lin's eyes became cold. As he let out a cold snort, his hand formed a seal and he shouted, "Call the wind!" After he spoke, a black wind appeared around his right hand and suddenly filled the lair. A monstrous gust of black wind swept forward like crazy. As the black wind roared, two black dragons formed and roared. They blasted out endless cold wind that spread out with Wang Lin as the center. The corpses immediately stopped and retreated. Although they were powerful before death, they were being controlled by a mysterious power after death and thus were far weaker than before. However, there were a lot of corpses, so they couldn't be underestimated. As the black wind roared, tattoos began to flash on the corpses. A seal was suddenly formed, and although the seal was invisible, it immediately pressed down. This wasn't the first time Wang Lin had seen this kind of seal. It had brought him a great deal of trouble during his war with the Yao family. He immediately realized this, and his expression changed. Wang Lin quickly took a step forward as ripples appeared under his feet, and he disappeared without a trace. The black wind roared as the two black dragons swept from both sides and caught countless corpses. It was as if these corpses were being tied up. There were a few corpses that directly collapsed. Wang Lin's figure appeared next to one of the corpses. His eyes were ruthless as his finger filled with thunder intent pressed down. When his finger pointed down, countless thunderbolts appeared from the void and gathered on his finger. Wang Lin's finger landed on the skull of the corpse. The corpse's body trembled violently and his empty eyes showed a moment of clarity. There was a hint of relief as his body collapsed and disappeared. And as soon as he disappeared, celestial origin energy left his body and entered Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed, and after observing he found that it didn't harm him. Instead, it fused with the celestial origin energy Celestial Lord Xianxia gave him. This discovery made Wang Lin ecstatic. Chapter 904, Exploring the Immortal Graveyard. An old man was sitting next to the huge pit where the forsaken immortal clan was once sealed on planet Suzaku. This old man wore a red robe and had a head of red hair. There was a plant flashing on his forehead with 11 leaves stretched open. However, on top of the 11th leaf, there was another half leaf. If this half leaf completely opened, this old man would instantly become a 12-leaf Forsaken Immortal Clan member. In the Forsaken Immortal Clan, a Leaf Clan member was equivalent to an illusory yin cultivator. The old man quietly sat there. He was motionless as if he was eternal. On this day, 4 rays of light flew across the sky, and the old man opened his eyes as he looked into the sky. Just as he was about to speak, his body trembled as he stared at one person among the 4 rays of light. Wang Lin landed on the ground and looked at the deep pit and the old man staring at Ta Shan. After pondering for a moment, he slowly said, "Long time no see, Senior Yunkezi." The old man was Yunkezi, and his eyes were filled with shock. He withdrew his gaze from Ta Shan, and a storm set off in his heart. He looked at Wang Lin and bitterly said, "I merely started cultivating before you. No need to call me senior." Fellow cultivator Wang Lin, is he a member of my Forsaken Immortal Clan? Yunkezi pointed at Ta Shan. Ta Shan's expression was cold. He didn't even look at Yunkezi. "He is a member of the chosen Immortal Clan." Wang Lin let out a sigh and walked into the deep pit. Ta Shan followed, and as for the big-headed boy, he smiled foolishly at Yunkezi before following Wang Lin in. When he saw the smile of the big-headed boy, a pressure from his soul exploded forth. His face turned pale and the complex emotion on his face became even stronger. Lei Ji followed after. He was extremely respectful to Wang Lin, especially after seeing Wang Lin's spells. Wang Lin was able to change the spiritual energy of planet Suzaku, which shocked him greatly. He had heard of this spell before. Only cultivators whose names spread far across the Alliance star system could sow something like this. Yunkezi wryly smiled, and his body flickered as he entered the deep pit. Along the way, Wang Lin didn't move that fast. He slowly moved through the immortal graveyard. The Forsaken Immortal Clan had moved out of here, and there was no one left. As he descended layer by layer, Wang Lin remembered that the deepest he went was the 11th layer. There, he met the 3rd ancestor of the Forsaken Immortal Clan, and was hunted by her until he took out the scroll that sealed the woman from the Xiang family. Only then was he able to escape that crisis. Through the horror displayed on the face of the Forsaken Immortal Clan 3rd ancestor's face, Wang Lin knew that the scroll was somehow connected to the Forsaken Immortal Clan. The deeper he went down, the darker it became, as if there hadn't been people here for hundreds of years. There were no signs of life, only rich yin energy. If it was before, Wang Lin would feel discomfort from this yin energy, and as he descended, he would eventually be unable to move forward due to the yin energy. However, this yin energy was really insignificant. He didn't even need to activate his origin energy. This yin energy seemed to possess intelligence and didn't dare to approach him at all. As he descended, the yin energy formed a vortex before him, as if it was opening a passage for him. As he moved, Wang Lin pondered. The Forsaken Immortal Clan and the Chosen Immortal Clan were obviously the same people. He was even more certain now after seeing Yunquezi's response to the big-headed boy. This clan wasn't afraid of celestial spiritual energy from celestial jades, but once celestial origin energy came from a celestial, a force would come from their soul to make them yield. The key to all of this was celestial origin energy. Thinking of celestial origin energy, Wang Lin felt bitter. The celestial origin energy he had was a gift from Xianxia and was not unlimited. Every time he used a celestial spell, it would consume some of it. If he couldn't find a way to replenish it, it would eventually be exhausted. The celestial spells Xianxia gave him, Summon the Rain and Magical Arsenal, all had high celestial origin energy requirements. If he didn't have enough, he wouldn't even be able to learn them, much less use them. This was also why Xianxia wanted Wang Lin to enter the celestial pool and why he gifted Wang Lin the celestial origin energy. However, there were too many disadvantages to entering the celestial pool, so Wang Lin wasn't willing to choose it. Although he had celestial origin energy in his body, there weren't a lot of ways to replenish it. Even if he were to absorb celestial spiritual energy from celestial jades, he still wouldn't be able to from celestial origin energy in his body. After taking the big-headed boy as his servant, Wang Lin tried, but it still didn't work. Left with no choice, Wang Lin could only conserve his use of celestial origin energy. Not long after, Wang Lin arrived at the TH layer for the second time. This TH layer wasn't large. There were many gulches on the floor with red liquid flowing through them. In Wang Lin's eyes, they form a blood symbol. The 11th layer was empty, with only the sound of the liquid moving. Xianxia slowly said, "This one of the Forsaken Immortal Clan's ancestral marks." This place had a total of 19 layers. Aside from the earliest ancestors, the descendants could only reach the 16th layer. No one could enter the last 3 layers. Wang Lin nodded. Then his divine sense spread out and found the entrance to the TH layer. In a flash, he charged toward that entrance. 12th layer, 13th layer, 14th layer, 15th layer, 16th layer. With Wang Lin's cultivation, he faced no obstructions and directly arrived at the TH layer. There were also blood-red tattoos on the floor of the TH layer, but they were much more complex. Just looking at them would make one confused. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed as he looked at the 13 coffins placed here. Each had a tattoo flashing above it. There was a black pool of water at the very center. It gave off waves of yin energy that filled the layer. Red liquid was coming from the tattoos and flowed into the pool, forming a cycle. What was strange was that the red liquid became black once it entered the pool, but once the black liquid flowed out of the pool, it turned red again. This place is a bit interesting. Wang Lin moved next to the pool of water and carefully looked at it. Xianxia silently pondered for a moment and then said, "Only the ancestor who had reached the leaf stage could enter back then. These coffins should all be ancestors of my Forsaken Immortal clan. Rumor has it that the 18th layer has the origin of my Forsaken Immortal clan. As for the TH floor, it was rumored to hold the remnant souls of my Forsaken Immortal clan's first ancestor, fellow cultivator Wang. If you can break into the TH layer, please look at our past and allow me to comprehend my ancestor's origin." He looked at Wang Lin. The little boy from the past had disappeared and was replaced with a powerful cultivator who could easily shake planet Suzaku with a stamp of his foot. During these last few days, he wondered if this powerful cultivator exists if he hadn't helped Wang Lin reach the soul formation stage. Wang Lin looked at Xianxia and nodded. He owed Xianxia even though he found out that Xianxia had other motives. The yin energy coming out from the black water was very powerful, and there was seal on it. From Wang Lin's view, not even someone at the peak of the corporeal yang stage could break this seal. In addition, there were certain bloodline requirements on the seal. If one didn't have the Forsaken Immortal bloodline, it was even more difficult to enter. No wonder no one could enter the 17th layer. This kind of powerful seal is not something an ordinary cultivator can open. Wang Lin pondered as he stared at the black pool. He naturally had his own reasons for coming here. The reason was the yellow talisman the Yao family member took out when battling Wang Lin. There was a very strange power within that talisman that completely sealed the power inside his body. Even today, Wang Lin clearly remembered what happened. He still had one more talisman on him. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin calmly said, "Big head, use all your power and display your most powerful celestial spell at the pool." The big-headed boy didn't waste time. The celestial origin energy in his body began to move. A storm of celestial origin energy erupted from his body and created a huge pressure. Xianxia was the first that couldn't withstand it. He subconsciously retreated, and his face turned pale. It was as if there was a power coming from his soul forcing him to yield. If he didn't yield, he would be torn apart. Under this force, Xianxia let out a roar. The veins on his face popped and he struggled desperately. Fortunately, the big-headed boy wasn't targeting Xianxia, so this allowed him to struggle. As the big-headed boy's celestial origin energy cycled, he pointed at his head. His head immediately grew twice as large and red tendons flew out, creating a huge impact at the pool of water. There was a heaven-shattering bang as a ripple was set off inside the pool and it began to slowly rotate. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He clearly saw that the seal on the pool of water was showing signs of breaking under the big-headed boy's attack. However, the signs were not obvious. Just as they were about to disappear, Wang Lin's 2 fingers formed a sword. Then thunder filled his eyes and the heavens' thunder seemed to gather like crazy toward his finger. As he stepped forward, He pointed at the pool of water. This caused countless bolts of lightning to shoot out from Wang Lin's fingers, and they flew like dragons toward the pool of water. There was a loud bang and large amount of cracks appeared on the floor of the TH layer. Large amounts of yin energy came out from the crack, and a huge wave was set off in the pool of water. The pool floated into the air and changed into a black tattoo within the moving thunder. This tattoo was too complex, and it was so dense that it was impossible to clearly see what it looked like. However, Wang Lin didn't care what it looked like. He didn't want the seal's approval. He wanted to break it open by force. Urgently wishing for all friends to push a round of video, Leo is extremely grateful. Chapter 906. Wang Long arrives. Wang Lin couldn't find a method to increase the celestial origin energy in his body. Every time he used celestial origin energy, it would be consumed. After enough time had passed, it would be all used up and the celestial core would collapse. In addition, the most important use was to learn Summon the Rain and Magic Arsenal. Summon the Rain was not as bad, but Magic Arsenal was impossible to use or study without celestial origin energy. This was why Wang Lin hadn't studied these two celestial spells. Right now, his eyes lit up and his body flickered. The black wind surrounded the area and he shouted, "Tashan, Senior Yun KZ, guard the center." I'll deal with these out here." Wang Lin took a step and merged into the void. When he appeared, he was next to another mummy. His fingers on his right hand formed a sword, and his eyes revealed thunder intent. The mummy turned around and spewed out death aura, and there was a tattoo flying toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin frowned slightly as he retreated and merged with the world to avoid the attack. He appeared next to another mummy and his fingers descended. The moment the mummy turned around, Wang Lin's attack landed on it. The mummy exploded and a large amount of celestial origin energy appeared and entered Wang Lin's body. After he killed one of them, a large amount of the mummies charged out toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light as he stared at the mummies. He could feel powerful celestial origin energy from them. Although these people were powerful when they were alive, their actions were sluggish after death. As a result, it wasn't difficult for Wang Lin to kill them with his early-stage Nirvana Scryer cultivation. However, at this moment, Wang Lin was considering how to gain the most benefits. Killing them for their celestial origin energy was only one of his goals. He had an even more bold idea in mind. His heart beat rapidly as he retreated to dodge the attacks of the mummies, and he quickly went through the almost crazy idea he had. A moment later, Wang Lin revealed a decisive look and his eyes revealed a strange light. He had obtained the inheritance of Summon the Rain and Magic Arsenal from Xianxia. Deep in his heart, he preferred Magic Arsenal over Summon the Rain. Although he didn't have any deep understanding of Magic Arsenal from the inheritance process, he had some enlightenments. Magic Arsenal's purpose was to imprison the soul fragments of everyone you killed, to prevent them from entering the reincarnation cycle and use them for yourself. That was the essence of Magic Arsenal. However, this kind of spell was definitely not this simple when learning it. You must be able to extract the souls of the people you killed and store them in a fake reincarnation cycle formed by your celestial origin. Only then can you imprison them. More importantly, you must have your own mysterious space created by the celestial spell. This mysterious space was a spell created by Celestial Emperor Bai Fan. When Celestial Emperor Bai Fan used it, it would become a realm. He called it the Mysterious Soldier Realm. This realm would store those soul fragments and refine them like a furnace. This became the base for power of Magic Arsenal. However, this realm was made for Bai Fan, so it was different for others to learn it. Although it wasn't difficult for Xianxia to learn it with his talent, he didn't. Instead, he opened another path and created his Slaughter Realm. He didn't need a place to store the souls, he simply used his monstrous killing intent to restrict them, creating a Slaughter Realm. None of the people he killed could escape his control. Xianxia's arrogance made him call this his own creation, Celestial Spell Confinement. After Magic Arsenal was passed to Wang Lin, he didn't consider using the Mysterious Realm nor Confinement. Wang Lin thought that his own version of this celestial spell should use his own life and death Tao to form his own reincarnation cycle. Right now, these mummies moved Wang Lin. These mummies weren't without souls, their souls were trapped inside their origin souls, which had fused with their bodies after being imprisoned for countless years. If he could incorporate all of them into his own reincarnation cycle, then he would have a lot of soul fragments to use when he uses Magic Arsenal. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. As he stepped forward, he pointed up and shouted, "Reincarnation, Underworld River!" In an instant, it was as if a mysterious force had emerged in the world and charged in. The Underworld River appeared above Wang Lin, and the resentment inside it was monstrous. This Underworld River coiled around Wang Lin and moved with him. He took a step out and his arms stretched open. His eyes were filled with thunder intent as a swirl appeared between his brows. His ancient thunder dragon origin soul flew out and let out a roar. Roar! He was exercising his control over thunder. This roar was earth-shattering. Even though he was in the 17th layer of the immortal graveyard, this thunderous roar caused an unimaginable change on planet Suzaku. Large amounts of thunderclouds suddenly appeared in the sky. They were filled with lightning, and all of them suddenly descended, heading straight for the immortal graveyard. There was too much thunder. As it gathered, the deep pit in the Forsaken Immortal clan was filled with boundless thunder. The pit was like a funnel, and all of the thunder was charging into it. Not only on planet Suzaku, large changes even occurred in the space around planet Suzaku. Many thunder dragons formed in the void and charged toward planet Suzaku. Countless bolts of thunder within tens of thousands of kilometers around planet Suzaku charged toward planet Suzaku. If one looked from a distance, they would think that the area within tens of thousands of kilometers around planet Suzaku had become a thunder hell. The endless thunder created endless rumbles that echoed across the stars. The thunder condensed and rushed into the deep pit in the Forsaken Immortal clan. It was as if the thunder was on a pilgrimage and was here to worship the ancestor of all thunder. All of this thunder is charged out without any hesitation. At this moment, every sound on planet Suzaku disappeared and was replaced by thunder. The only sound left was the rumble of the thunder. This was like the end of the world, and it caused the expressions of all the cultivators on planet Suzaku to change greatly. The shock coming from the depths of their souls made them tremble. They were like ants trembling before the might of heavens. As for the mortals, they all knelt on the ground. Not only planet Suzaku was affected. At this moment, there was a group of 100 cultivators moving through space, and the leader was the six-fingered cultivator. As he moved, his expression immediately changed greatly and he stared ahead. With his cultivation, he could vaguely feel that the thunder ahead was extremely dense, almost to a point beyond imagination. His scalp felt numb. In his mind, he could only remember when Shumu used the thunder in one line to heavens and killed the big-headed boy. Could it be that Shumu is ahead? Forget it, let's change directions. It's better not to meet that person. The six-fingered cultivator wryly smiled as he changed directions and took a detour. This power of thunder was extremely powerful, and it went into the deep pit. A thunderous rumble echoed as it went from the Scent layer until it arrived into the TH layer Wang Lin was in. In almost an instant, the entire TH layer was filled with thunder. It had reached an unimaginable degree as the thunder roared. Thunder rumbles continued to echo in the TH layer. Almost every single mummy was surrounded by countless bolts of thunder. When the thunder landed, the impact caused the entire place to tremble. With a bang, one of the mummies collapsed and its celestial origin energy flew out toward Wang Lin. Then the underworld river swept by and extracted the soul. It was like a soul returning to the afterlife. This scene occurred repeatedly in the surroundings. In the end, when the thunder had reached an unimaginable density, all of it suddenly collapsed and exploded. This explosion created an extremely powerful thunderstorm. As it swept the area, all of the mummies collapsed and a large amount of celestial origin energy rushed into Wang Lin's body. The celestial origin core inside his body grew like crazy. In just a moment, it grew several-fold and was now the size of a baby's fist. In addition, as the underworld river filled the area, the souls were pulled out into the underworld river. The resentment in the river became much stronger. There were hundreds of celestial souls who were struggling or showing relief in the underworld river. This scene was so strange that if a mortal saw it, they would be scared out of their mind. When all the thunder collapsed, on top forming the thunderstorm, all the power was condensed into one spot. This caused an unimaginable impact that shook the entire TH layer. There was a heaven-shattering bang and the TH layer collapsed. Rays of light came from below and the collapse forced open the passage to the TH layer. Xianxia's mind was completely blank as he witnessed this. He had already regarded Wang Lin very highly, but now he found that he had underestimated Wang Lin. The spell that could open the 18th layer had shaken his mind and left him terrified. The big-headed boy's body trembled. The spell that killed him in one line to heaven made him tremble, and his fear toward Wang Lin grew even stronger. Ta Shan still showed no expression, but Lei Ji gasped. The thunder before him had shaken him. To become the mount of someone so strong, not only did he not feel unwilling, he felt a sense of honor. The cultivation world respected the strong. The moment the TH layer was opened by the force of thunder on planet Suzaku, the old cultivator that looked like Huanglong was startled. He took a step and disappeared. The 18th layer can be entered. Embarrassed, I've been remiss in saying thank you. Thank you all for pressing the like button. Thanks to the fellow Taoists for their praise. Chapter 907 Vermilion Bird Series. In the TH layer of the Immortal Graveyard on planet Suzaku. The moment that Ta Shan was about to step into the TH layer, an extremely dignified voice echoed within the TH layer. The 18th layer can be entered. This sound was so powerful that Ta Shan's body was pushed back dozens of feet. It was as if he had been hit by a powerful impact, and he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. The big-headed boy was also forced back. As for Lei Ji, he felt a buzz and his mind went blank. He only knew that he was being constantly pushed back. Xianxia was also the same. He had the lowest cultivation level and was thrown back until he hit a wall. He coughed out a large mouthful of blood and became dispirited. Wang Lin's eyes turned cold. The moment the voice appeared, his origin energy activated and was forced back a few dozen feet before he could steady himself. His face was pale as he looked ahead. A ripple echoed in the air, and the old cultivator that looked like Huanglong stepped out. The moment he appeared, a crazy high temperature appeared. In an instant, all of the cracks that had appeared were sealed, and the path to the TH layer was closed. The old cultivator had the air of a celestial and gave off a pressure without being angry. One could feel a powerful aura coming from him just by looking at him. However, that aura immediately disappeared and was contained within this old cultivator, which made him feel even more dangerous. After he appeared, he waved his sleeve. Xianxia, Ta Shan, the big-headed boy, and Lei Ji only felt a powerful gust of wind. They disappeared and were directly sent outside of the Immortal Graveyard. Wang Lin's pupils shrank and hundreds of ideas flashed through his mind. This old cultivator had sent everyone except him away, so there was some profound meaning to his actions. His eyes flashed indiscernibly before he immediately bowed and respectfully said, "Heng Yu's sect disciple Wang Lin greets sect master." The old cultivator looked at Wang Lin with a smile that was not a smile and asked, "Who is your sect master?" Wang Lin's expression was neutral as he said, "If Senior 1T admit it, then just take it that Junior is mistaken." The old cultivator laughed and said, "You re an interesting little fellow. Why do you think I am the sect master of the Heng Yu sect?" Wang Lin calmly said, "Junior went to the demon spirit land and saw a painting that contained Senior's image." The old cultivator pondered a bit and smiled. "Little fellow, you can just call anyone sect master." The dignified thunder celestial of the Al-Heaven star system Shu Mu. When did I have such a disciple? Wang Lin's mind trembled, but his expression didn't change. He said, "Junior has mistook you for someone else." The old cultivator revealed a look of admiration as he was very satisfied with Wang Lin's reaction and response. His eyes lit up and he said, "We can talk about whether you mistaken or not later. Do you know that you almost made a terrible mistake? That 18th layer is not somewhere you can enter, especially not with someone from the chosen immortal clan. If he obtained the source origin, forget planet Suzaku, even the entire Alliance star system would face a catastrophe." Wang Lin's expression was respectful. There was no trace of rebellion on his face, as if he was earnestly being scolded. The old cultivator looked at Wang Lin. After pondering a bit, he said, "Wang Lin, I want to ask you, do you sincerely think of me as the former Heng Yu sect master and sincerely think of yourself as a Heng Yu sect disciple?" Wang Lin silently pondered. He had a lot of regret toward the Heng Yu sect. After all, the Heng Yu sect was his first sect and his first step into the cultivation world. Wang Lin looked at the old cultivator and calmly said, "The Heng Yu sect was Junior's first sect and planet Suzaku is my home." "Oh?" The old cultivator's eyes lit up and he said, "So what is the deal with being the Thunder Celestial Temple as Thunder Celestial?" His voice was like thunder and seemed angry. "Various things forced me into that situation." Wang Lin stared at the old cultivator with clear eyes. The old cultivator's gaze seemed to be able to penetrate Wang Lin's heart. After a long time, his expression softened, and he said, "This old man doesn't care about your identity in the Alheaven star system or how many sects you join. The one thing you need to remember is that although you are a cultivator of the Alliance star system, you are a person from planet Suzaku. You are a disciple of the Vermilion Bird branch of the Four Divine Sect. As long as you remember this, I am always your sect master." Wang Lin's expression was calm as he nodded. This battle with the Alheaven star system is the battle of the Cultivation Alliance. It has nothing to do with my Four Divine Sect. The old cultivator seemed to have said this very casually. Wang Lin's expression changed, and he looked at the old cultivator. The old cultivator no longer talked about this but looked at Wang Lin. After pondering for a bit, he said, "Wang Lin, since you have seen the 17th layer, you should have some speculations in your heart. With your current cultivation, you can enter the 18th layer to comprehend what's inside with my help. Whether you will obtain anything will depend on your own luck." As the old man spoke, he didn't ask whether Wang Lin was willing and waved his sleeve. Wang Lin felt a powerful force surround him. Although he was still cautious in his heart, he didn't resist and still had a respectful expression. Taking Wang Lin, the old cultivator took a step and high temperature suddenly appeared around him. Then a circle of what looked like magma appeared under him. Black flames shot into the air and surrounded the old cultivator. A moment later, the old cultivator's figure disappeared. Even Wang Lin disappeared without a trace. Wang Lin only felt a wave of heat, and it even contained a trace of source origin. Wang Lin was aghast by the flame that surrounded him, but he became even more cautious. His eyes blurred. When his vision cleared, he found that he was inside a secret chamber that was around 1,000 feet wide. The surroundings were completely dark aside from a flickering flame at the center. This made this place somewhat gloomy. It was as if there were ghosts hiding in the darkness that circled the flame and wanted to devour it. However, they would be knocked back by the flame every time. This place is the TH layer. That fire is a fragment of their ancestor's source origin. You can try to comprehend it, and whether you gain anything will depend on your luck. The old man's voice echoed in the room. Wang Lin silently pondered for a moment, and then his eyes fell on the flame. The moment his eyes fell on the flame, his mind trembled. It was as if a mysterious force had come from the flame and rushed into Wang Lin's mind. The flame contained a desire for life and understanding and enlightenment of power. There was also a trace of the scent of blood. At this moment, the flame flickered violently. Wang Lin felt a thud, and then a large amount of information rushed into his mind. There was too much information, and it was extremely messy, as if it was endless. The information bombarded Wang Lin as if it wanted to make his head explode. In an instant, something happened to Wang Lin's eyes. A sun appeared in his left eye and a moon appeared in his right eye. His karma domain quickly filled his body. The yin and yang fishes appeared in his mind. As they rotated, all of the distracting thoughts were removed from his mind. Finally, a scene that shook Wang Lin's mind appeared. At this moment, the old cultivator's figure appeared next to Wang Lin. He carefully looked at Wang Lin, revealing a look of admiration, and he muttered, "Not bad." This little fellow was about to gain insight from this level of source origin. After some observation, I can let this little fellow enter the Vermilion Bird series. At this moment, Wang Lin was immersed in a starry sky. What he saw were countless celestials using various kinds of magical treasures. Before them were yellow talismans, tens, hundreds, thousands, and even tens of thousands of feet long. Every yellow talisman had various strange people standing on them. They weren't dressed too differently from cultivators, but they had the chosen immortal clan plans tattooed on them. The difference was the amount of leaves on the tattoos. Each of them had a tattoo flashing between their eyebrows. This was a war. As both sides battled, there were flashes of tattoos. As for those with tattoos, their spells were strange and unpredictable. They were tattoo-oriented, and could often seal the heavens and earth, causing the world's origin energy to tremble. Not long after, an old man on one of the yellow talismans that was tens of thousands of feet long charged out. The old man had many leaves on his tattoo, along with a golden leaf. He opened his arms and the tattoos around him charged out. At this moment, space itself trembled and the celestials all exclaimed. They were surrounded by countless tattoos and suddenly lost their celestial origins. Just at this critical moment, a flash of black light came from the distance. A figure appeared, but it was surrounded by a black light, making it impossible to see his appearance. The person arrived and began battling the old man. In an instant, the person surrounded by the black light grabbed hold of the area between the old man's eyebrows. He mercilessly pulled out a massive flame filled with vitality. The moment the flame was pulled out, it immediately collapsed into countless specks of fire. One of them charged straight at Wang Lin and instantly imprinted between Wang Lin's eyebrows. Wang Lin's forehead burned and his body trembled. It was as if a powerful impact was forcing his body to retreat. This force was too strong, as if it could penetrate time itself. He felt a thud as he opened his eyes and awakened. The moment he awakened, he immediately looked at the flame. The more he looked, the more similar it looked to the flame between the eyebrows of the old man covered in tattoos. The scene from before was like a dream, but the heat coming from between his eyebrows reminded him that everything before was very real. Wang Lin subconsciously touched between his eyebrows, but there was nothing there. At this moment, a large stone was rapidly flying through the starry sky, charging toward the western part of the Alliance star system. On the stone stood a person in red, and his eyes were ruthless and cold. He stared into the distant stars and muttered, "Al heaven thunder celestial shu mu, I hope you read not too weak." Feebly asking, 4,000 words, does that count as a major chapter? Could it be hoping for the like button for the video and the followers too? Chapter 90, the first indication. The first layer of the underworld ascension method was complete. The meridian in his dantian was ready to be opened. Wang Lin calmed himself and transferred 1/3 of the yin energy outside of his dantian toward his dantian. The yin energy didn't enter his dantian, but surrounded it and started to charge into the black hole. Although with every charge there was some loss, the yin energy became more and more fierce as it kept charging in his dantian as if it was waging war. After a long time, the black hole started to crack, and at that moment, Wang Lin quickly transferred another 1/3 of the yin energy from his body. In one move, he opened the meridian in his dantian. For an instant, Wang Lin felt extreme pain. The moment the black hole broke, the mysterious power started to fill his body. Wang Lin didn't even blink. He started to charge the next meridian. This time, it took a lot longer than before, and after seeing that there might not be enough yin energy, Wang Lin added the remaining 1/3 of the yin energy into the yin energy stream. The yin energy steam formed a swirl that was several times larger than the previous one. The swirl spun faster and faster, meaning the time for the breakthrough was close. Night slowly came. Wang Lin was still in the late stage of the breakthrough. The swirl was still spinning, and because it was spinning so fast, it looked like a nebula. Although it looked very slow from the outside, in reality, it was spinning too fast for the eye to see. All the way until midnight, when the yin energy was most dense, Wang Lin's body was still like a black hole. There was a swirl of yin energy 20 feet wide spinning around him, quickly being absorbed. Within 10 feet of Wang Lin, it was like a meat grinder for yin energy. All of the yin energy was being devoured at an insane speed. The massive amount of yin energy was absorbed by Wang Lin and instantly added to the swirl in his body. The swirl became larger and larger, until it was almost out of Wang Lin's control and still growing unrestrained. He was immediately stunned and wanted to stop, but found that he could no longer control the swirl as he watched it grow larger and larger. Wang Lin started to become nervous, as there was no record of this in the records of the underworld ascension method. Wang Lin didn't know that the reason the underworld ascension method was called a demonic technique was because the variations were too great. Some were very beneficial while others would kill the user. And Situ Nan was still asleep, so Wang Lin had to resolve this himself. As the swirl grew, the suction force grew as well, and the 10-foot radius quickly increased. This was a very vicious cycle. The wider the range, the more yin energy it will absorb. The more yin energy meant the faster the swirl will grow, meaning more yin energy will be absorbed. 20 feet, 30 feet, 50 feet, 70 feet, 100 feet. All of the yin energy within a 100-foot radius started to move violently as it rushed toward Wang Lin. This large movement of yin energy affected all of the yin energy within 1,000 feet, causing it to move as if there was a giant hand guiding it. Wang Lin had already completely lost control of the swirl, and after an unknown amount of time, his dantian broke through with a bang. This was the second time his dantian broke through, and just like the first time, it formed a black hole in his dantian. The change in his body immediately caused the yin energy absorbed to move as well. If Wang Lin was endlessly absorbing yin energy from the surroundings before, that suction was now devouring it. In a moment, all of the yin energy within 100 feet was instantly devoured by the black hole, causing an even more widespread disturbance of yin energy. Soon, the swirl increased from 100 feet to 150 feet, 200 feet, 300 feet, 500 feet, 700 feet, and eventually more than 1,000 feet. If one looked from the sky, they would witness a very shocking scene. All of the yin energy was violently surging around one center point. In the depths of the ruins, the strange blue person was holding the body of a beast in his hand. He bit off a chunk of meat and started to chew it when he suddenly turned to Wang Lin's direction and revealed a shocked expression. He quickly threw away his food and ran toward Wang Lin like a frightened rabbit. After walking a few steps, he paused and noticed that all of the yin energy was rushing toward the same direction. He hesitated a bit, but continued. However, he stopped 3,000 feet away from Wang Lin's location, and his expression became even more shocked. As for Wang Lin, the moment he made his breakthrough, all of the changed spiritual energy quickly gathered in the black hole in his dantian and fused together. The moment all of the spiritual energy fused back together, he gained some control of the swirl in his body. However, the amount of control was very small and not nearly enough to stop the swirl of yin energy inside him. Wang Lin clenched his teeth. He decided to quit trying to stop the absorption of yin energy and to break through a third time. Under Wang Lin's control, the large amount of yin energy smashed into his dantian. His dantian shattered into many blue specks, and within the blue specks was a dark blue crystal. Large amounts of yin energy surrounded and entered the dark blue crystal. The crystal's color got darker and darker until it became green. The 3 breakthroughs were easily completed, and a cold core appeared in Wang Lin's dantian. Many small hands extended from the cold core and reached every part of Wang Lin's body. The spiritual energy in his body quickly underwent change after the appearance of the cold core. Wang Lin was still surrounded by yin energy, and he had a feeling that if he kept absorbing the yin energy, he would explode. This feeling was confirmed when he started to feel a sense of swelling. Wang Lin clenched his teeth again and decided that it was all or nothing. He moved the yin energy and decided to attempt the 4th breakthrough. Situnan had pointed out that the 1st, 4th, and 7th layers were extremely hard, because those were the first times one attempted to make a breakthrough in the Dantian, Qi, and Ancestral Meridian. One was supposed to stop after making the 3rd breakthrough in order to nurture the cold core before attempting the 4th breakthrough. But the spiritual energy in Wang Lin's body had already mixed with the vast yin energy, and because he needed to expend it, he could only attempt the 4th breakthrough. The QIC in his chest opened. The yin swirl slowly raised upward until it reached the QC and started to spin faster again. The swirl endlessly devoured yin energy. Wang Lin tried to break through time and time again, but he failed each time. The sky was slowly starting to light up. The yin energy within 1,000 feet slowly dissipated, until all of it disappeared. The QIC in his chest still remained unopened. Wang Lin finally understood why the underworld ascension method was so difficult. He had already tried to open his QC over 100 times, but he failed every time, and every time it failed, he lost some yin energy. The large amount of yin energy was gradually used up by all of the attempts to break through. Along with the fact that day arrived and all of the yin energy dissipated, the remaining yin energy was slowly absorbed by Wang Lin's cold core. Wang Lin absorbed too much yin energy this night. All of the spiritual energy in his body underwent a change, and changed to yin spiritual energy. In terms of quantity, Wang Lin could clearly feel that his yin spiritual energy amounted to twice as much as his spiritual energy from before, meaning that he was now at the peak of early-stage foundation establishment. He opened his eyes and recalled what had happened last night. Although he was alarmed, he was mostly weighing the pros and cons of this type of cultivation. The unexpected occurrence during his nighttime cultivation opened up a new way of thinking for him. The advantage of this type of cultivation was self-explanatory, and the con was that it was too dangerous. One wrong move and he would have exploded, but thanks to this experience, he will have full control next time, and that will lower the danger. Wang Lin muttered, "It seems I have to find a new shelter. Although the amount of yin energy is great, the quality is too low to satisfy my needs to make a breakthrough." Right now, Wang Lin's chance of a breaking through was too low. But according to the records, the higher the quality of the yin energy, the better the chance for a breakthrough. Wang Lin remembered the test he did a few months ago, and remembered that the pillar around the stone bead was high-quality rank 1, so he made his decision. At the same time, the sky outside the forest suddenly darkened as an old man releasing a huge pressure silently appeared. He looked at the forest below him with powerful killing intent in his eyes. "Lier, Grandpa Tai is here to get revenge for you." The person who came was the Tang family ancestor, Tang Huayuan. He cursed during the entire trip here, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't find the exact location of his grandson's killer. It was as if there was some fog blocking him. He was unable to determine the exact location, but knew that the killer was in the jungle below him. As for this jungle, it was a place he didn't want to venture into unless he had no choice. With just a scan, he could tell how dangerous it was, and that it contained a being that even he didn't dare to mess with. But because of Ting Lie's death, he couldn't be bothered by much. He believed that as long as he was very quiet and only searched for his enemy, the powerful being wouldn't mind. After pondering for a while, he clenched his teeth and charged into the forest. Within the depths of the jungle ruins, the lid of a coffin opened without a sound. A withered hand glowing black and purple light slowly appeared from within the coffin. The hand gripped hard, and suddenly, a purple ball of lightning appeared in the hand, releasing a dangerous aura. "The 100-year time is up, my master. You gave up your body to run away before, but this time, you won't be able to get away." Leo dreams of getting a lot of likes for this video, having many followers, plenty of shares, and everyone praising his good reading and the number of words he can read. So happy. Chapter 908, Leaving. Very good. The old cultivator's voice echoed inside the chamber. Ripples appeared and the old cultivator walked out. He carefully looked at Wang Lin, especially between Wang Lin's eyebrows, and calmly asked, "You saw it?" Wang Lin got up, clasped his hands, and said, "I saw some scenes." The old cultivator faintly smiled while he raised his right hand and reached toward the flame. The flame flashed and then was caught in the old cultivator's hand. This thing was formed by the essence source origin of an peak golden leaf Fu clan member. Comprehending this source origin would benefit your cultivation greatly. This is also a test that one must face to become an inner disciple of the Vermilion Bird branch of the Four Divine Sect. If you can gain comprehension, you can become an inner disciple. With that, the old cultivator seemed to gain a trace of that flame's power, and his face turned slightly red. After a long time, he returned to normal and waved his sleeves. Wang Lin disappeared on the spot. "Do what you ought to do. With this old man here, no one can touch planet Suzaku." After sending Wang Lin away, the old cultivator's eyes revealed a strange light, and he muttered, "Fu clan, this old man will definitely open the last layer." Wang Lin's body appeared on the top of a mountain on planet Suzaku, and his face was pale. He looked toward the direction of the Forsaken Immortal clan and began to ponder. That old cultivator's cultivation level is very high. I fear he is an old monster on level with Master Flamespark, or even stronger. What kind of purpose does this person have for staying at planet Suzaku for a long period of time? First of all, I can confirm that opening the last 2 layers of the Forsaken Immortal clan are one of his goals. I just don't know if he is aware of the land of the ancient god. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and then he quickly left. That person's identity is strange, but he is someone from the Vermilion Bird branch of the Four Divine Sect. However, his words had some deeper meaning to them. Forget it. There are too few clues to speculate. It is time to leave. Wang Lin made up his mind. He spread out his divine sense and found Ta Shan and company. After sending out a message, Wang Lin looked at the earth below him. He knew that he had dealt with the matters at planet Suzaku, and that he couldn't stay here for long. After all, Tuo-sen was still here. While he pondered, he let out a sigh. Then his body flickered and he quickly charged into the sky. At the same time, Ta Shan, the big-headed boy, and Lei Ji quickly flew out from different parts of planet Suzaku. Zhou Wutai stood on a peak as he looked up at the horizon. His expression was somber, and after a long time he left. Similarly, at the border of the Sea of Devils in the country of Haofen, Li Qiqing looked up at the sky. After a long time, he muttered, "Little sister, following him is your choice. Your brother blesses you." In the clouds sky sect, Tai Yan awakened as if he had noticed something and looked up. He knew that after Wang Lin leaves this time, it would likely be a very long time before he returns. Wang Lin's figure appeared in the space outside planet Suzaku, and a moment later Tashan and company appeared. Tashan took a step and merged with Wang Lin's shadow. As for the big-headed boy, he had recovered a bit and respectfully stood there. Lei Ji's eyes turned, and without waiting for Wang Lin's order, popping sounds came from his body. In an instant, he grew into a giant thousands of feet tall, and a powerful pressure shrouded the area. The reason many powerful cultivators like to use the giant demon clan members as mounts was because of their powerful bodies and pressure. They were comparable to almost all demonic beasts. In addition, the giant demon clan's bloodline ability made the powerful cultivators extremely fond of them. Lei Ji's body trembled, and he knelt down. A thunderous voice came from his mouth. "Master, Lei Ji is completely willing to become your mount." Looking at the giant body, Wang Lin entered a trance for a moment. Riding the giant demon clan as a mount was indeed very eye-catching. No matter who saw this, they would be shaken. Wang Lin revealed a smile. With one step, he landed on Lei Ji's back, and the big-headed boy quickly followed. He was not tall, and although his head was big and ferocious when he stood behind Wang Lin, it was obvious he was a servant. Lei Ji's body was huge, and his back was thousands of feet wide. His skin was blue and the surface of his back was flat. After Wang Lin sat down, Lei Ji let out a roar and rushed forward. His speed was very fast. Although it couldn't T compared to the Thunder Beast, it wasn't T much slower. Lei Ji's huge body quickly traveled through space and created a storm that spread far and wide in every direction. The big-headed boy looked at all of this and revealed a strange expression. He truly felt the difference between the Alliance star system and Al-Heaven star system. There were no giants thousands of feet tall in Al-Heaven, much less people using them as mounts. He felt disbelief just thinking about it, but at the same time, it gave him an inexplicable feeling. If he saw someone with such a mount, killing intent would appear in his heart, and he would want to kill the other party and take said mount. A cultivator that dares to sit on such a cultivator is no ordinary person. The big-headed boy let out a sigh as he silently looked at Wang Lin. His pupils suddenly shrank. A person suddenly appeared in the distance. He was standing on top of a huge stone. The surface of the stone was covered in holes. It looked like a beehive. This person was wearing red and looked like a ray of red light. He had his hands behind his back and he quickly flew toward Lei Ji. That stone was too fast. As it closed in, it created a huge roar similar to a sonic boom. It set off a monstrous wave in the starry sky. The red-robed man didn't look very old, only about 30 years old. There were 7 swords flying around him, giving off a powerful killing aura. This killing aura Gabe was filled with the scent of blood that spread out and formed a vortex. It seemed to form into a huge python-like beast that opened its jaws and roared at Lei Ji. As it roared, a cold and ruthless voice came. Cultivation Alliance S Slaughter Domain, Kill You Fei, here to take your head. The moment this voice echoed, the stone under him increased in speed. It was so fast that red flames appeared on the stone due to friction and shot straight toward Lei Ji. Lei Ji's expression became panicked and he was about to dodge. At this moment, the big-headed boy looked at Wang Lin, clenched his teeth and stepped out. His hand formed a seal and celestial origin energy surged. The celestial origin energy formed a storm outside his body, and soon, a celestial spell appeared. The big-headed boy shouted and pushed his hands forward. The celestial origin energy turned into threads and rapidly approached the large stone like a fine net. However, at this instant, the red-robed man's eyes flashed red. One of the 7 blood swords immediately shot out like lightning toward the big-headed boy. While it was on the way, a large amount of red mist came from the blood sword. With a bang, it turned into a person. This person looked exactly the same as the red-robed man. It was obvious it was an avatar. After the avatar appeared, his hand swiped out and 7 rays of bloodlight shot out. His gaze was cold as he charged toward the big-headed boy, and they began to battle. The two quickly used spells, causing explosions to echo among the stars. They weren't able to decide a winner or loser in a short period of time. That avatar is at the early stage of Nirvana Scryer. The original body is at the mid-stage of Nirvana Scryer. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as the stone closed in. Lei Ji let out a roar and continued to roar. The shadow behind Wang Lin flickered as Tashan stepped out and threw a punch. The moment Tashan appeared, the red-robed man's expression didn't change at all. The second flying sword exploded into an avatar with 7 rays of bloodlight around it and charged straight at Ta Shan. Wang Lin's expression was calm. While still on Lei Ji's back, he suddenly raised his right hand. Countless lightning bolts suddenly filled the area and gathered. The surrounding area quickly turned into a thunder hell. The red-robed man's eyes narrowed and the stone under him suddenly stopped 1,000 feet from Wang Lin. He revealed a cold smile and slowly said, "You are indeed worth of being Al-Heaven's Thunder Celestial. You are really worthy of the title Thunder Celestial." With that, he waved his right hand and the remaining 5 blood swords shot out in 5 directions with him as the center. Then the 5 blood swords exploded into clouds of blood mist and turned into 5 more avatars. Each of the avatars had 7 blood-red lights around them, and inside each blood-red light was a blood-red flying sword. In an instant, the 5 avatars and the 35 red flying swords formed a formation around this person. Each avatar was 500 feet from the main body. The surrounding lightning bolts closed in, but strangely they all flew toward the blood swords. No thunder could enter that feet area. Thunderous rumbles continued to echo. The red-robed man sneered as he looked at Wang Lin. All the thunder was blocked by his 5 avatars and 35 flying swords. "Are you only this strong?" The red-robed man shook his head and his eyes were filled with disappointment. "If this is all your spell can do, then you can escape from me." A flash of coldness appeared in Wang Lin's eyes and a vortex appeared between his eyebrows. In an instant, his ancient thunder dragon origin soul rushed out and let out a roar at the sky. Roar! 3,000 words in a major chapter. Wish that the like button for the video would break. Chapter 909. I'll give you a miracle. He exercised his control over thunder. Under the thunderous rumbles, the world suddenly changed and countless lightning bolts appeared from the void and gathered toward Wang Lin. This scene was earth-shattering, and as the sound of thunder spread, it caused more thunder to appear. It was like divine retribution. The red-robed man named Yu Fei took one look and began to laugh. However, this laughter was filled with endless chill. "Good, now you have some aura of a thunder celestial of the Al-Heaven star system. It wasn't a waste of time for me to come personally take your head. If you die, you can smile while you in the underworld. Everyone that was killed by me was famous." Arrogant. Wang Lin's expression was cold. He pointed with his finger and made the thunder in the area become several times stronger. Thunder from tens of thousands of kilometers away began to gather. If one were to look from above, they would see that the area within tens of thousands of kilometers had turned into a thunder lake. And the thunder lake shrank amidst the endless rumbles. The center of all of this was the red-robed man. The speed of contraction was too fast, and as it contracted, it attracted even more thunder. The might of the thunder was like the end of the world. The rapid contraction caused large amounts of spatial cracks to appear. Whenever the thunder passed by, large amounts of cold wind would escape from those cracks. This scene was very shocking. As the thunder roared, the contraction became even faster. It was as like a huge circle that was tens of thousands of kilometers wide and was rapidly shrinking with the red-robed man as the center. As the thunder contracted, the thunder became even more intense. As it continued to compress, it eventually became unimaginably powerful. This power was like compressing all the thunder within tens of thousands of kilometers into one point. The power this thunder had was comparable to divine retribution. At this moment, it contracted like crazy, and it made so much noise that it was like no other sound existed. Even Ta Shan and the big-headed boy who were battling immediately retreated and revealed serious expressions. In almost an instant, as all the thunder from tens of thousands of kilometers away gathered, waves of thunder crashed into the red-robed man's 35 flying swords and 5 avatars. This created a heaven-shaking bang. It was as if space itself was trembling. All the thunder within tens of thousands of kilometers compressed and finally bombarded the flying swords. One of the blood swords immediately trembled and collapsed. The sword shattered into countless pieces which were then pushed back by the thunder. This didn't end here. The remaining flying swords all collapsed under the bombardment of this earth-shattering thunder. In just an instant, the 35 flying swords all collapsed. The surrounding thunder didn't pause, it charged toward the red-robed man with monstrous momentum. 500 feet only took an instant to cross. Just as the thunder condensed, the 5 avatars turned into 5 large swords and forced a blockade 100 feet around the Yu Fei. The thunder quickly smashed into them, causing them to tremble, and cracking sounds came from the swords. Yu Fei's expression was still neutral. He coldly looked at Wang Lin and said, "I indeed underestimated the power of your thunder, but before me it is not enough." As he spoke, he slapped his bag of holding and something appeared in his hand. This object was a branch. It looked very normal, but it gave off an ancient aura. "One of my slaughtered domain S treasures, the branch of the Thunder World tree. The domain master said that this could suppress your thunder. Let me show you how I'll break your thunder." With that, he threw the branch forward. At the same time, the 5 swords blocking the thunder quickly retreated. The moment the 5 blood swords retreated, there was nothing blocking the thunder, so it immediately charged toward the red-robed man. However, at this moment, Wang Lin seemed to lose control of the thunder, and it all charged toward the branch. As the thunder rumbled, the branch absorbed all of it, and bursts of thunder could be seen around the branch. Yu Fei stood beside the branch with a sneer. The thunder seemed to be turning a blind eye to him. It didn't injure him at all, and it all rushed into the branch. Even Wang Lin became gloomy at this. "With your early stage nirvana scryer cultivation, unless there is a miracle, you are nothing before me. It is time to end everything." Yu Fei's eyes revealed killing intent as he charged through the thunder. The 5 flying swords charged with him and closed in on Wang Lin. Wang Lin retreated as he stared Yu Fei, who was closing in, and calmly said, "I'll give you a miracle." With that, ripples appeared under his feet, and he suddenly disappeared. Yu Fei was startled, and his pupils shrank. His origin energy surged out, creating a storm around him, but he still didn't find a trace of Wang Lin. There was a cultivation planet in the Alliance star system that was far away from planet Suzaku. The spiritual energy from this cultivation planet was dense, and it was a rank 6 cultivation country. There were 5 rank cultivation countries on this planet. In one of the rank cultivation countries, one named Fallen Moon, there was a woman standing outside the alchemy room in a back mountain. This woman was wearing a pink butterfly dress. She didn't look very old and was very beautiful. There were specks of metal chips above her right eyebrow that made her look very cute. Her jade-like skin and cloud-like hair made her very attractive. "Senior brother Wang, are you here? I am Song Ying." This woman's face was red and her voice sounded like a songbird. She was very beautiful and she looked into the room as she spoke. A person was sitting in the alchemy room. He had a head of red hair and his expression was very cold. He looked around 30 years old, and the cold aura he gave off made it feel as if it would feel like winter wherever he went. When the voice of the woman came in from outside, the man frowned and coldly said, "I'm not here." After that, he closed his eyes and focused on cultivating. After the woman heard this cold voice, she immediately became happy. She took a few steps and walked directly into the alchemy room. She smiled and said, "Brother Wang Lin, I won't disturb you for too long. I'll just sit here for a while and then leave." As she spoke, she arrived outside the room but didn't go inside. She sat down outside. She could feel the cold aura coming from the room. This aura entered her body and made her face turn red, but she felt very comfortable. Her cultivation was related to cold energy and had been stagnant. There weren't many places in the sect with cold energy, and she couldn't enter those places with her status. One time, she came here to pick up pills and accidentally found that the cold energy in her body had increased a lot. This discovery made her very excited, and she continued to come here. Eventually, she discovered there was an outer sect disciple named Wang Lin here. This person was a worker at the alchemy room, but she felt it was very strange. Even though he was a worker, she had never seen him do any work. She even saw the uncle master at the alchemy room be extremely respectful toward Wang Lin. She had a feeling that Wang Lin had a lot of secrets, that he was very mysterious. With this in mind, she had the urge to uncover all those secrets for some reason. In addition, this place helped her cultivation a lot, so she came here almost every day. As for Wang Lin's coldness, not only was she not afraid, it made her want to uncover his secrets even more. She was almost always thinking of Wang Lin's cold figure. Song Ying's face turned red as she cultivated, but this time her heartbeat accelerated and she couldn't immerse herself in cultivation. Touching the item in her clothes, she hesitated as she bit her lips and softly said toward the room, "Senior brother Wang, I." However, before she finished speaking, the door suddenly opened and Wang Lin walked out. The moment he walked out, a large amount of cold energy spread out. This cold aura wasn't real, it was just leftover spiritual energy from when an ancient god absorbed spiritual energy. It seemed insignificant to Wang Lin, but for others, this spiritual energy was very dense. Fortunately, this was an alchemy room that already had dense spiritual energy, so it was not obvious. The appearance of Wang Lin's original body caused Song Ying to swallow her words. Just as she summoned up the courage to continue, she saw the senior brother Wang that she admired so much take a step, shoot into the sky and disappear. Song Ying's expression was bleak as she took out an embroidered pouch. It was filled with some spirit herbs that she had personally picked and then sewn into the pouch. This item had the effect of allowing one to calm down. With one step, Wang Lin's original body left the cultivation planet and rushed into space. Just as the original body entered space, ripples appeared, and Wang Lin walked out. The avatar and original body walked toward each other until they collided. Then there was a flash of green light and the two became one. After hundreds of years of separation, Wang Lin's avatar and his original body fused once more. A powerful aura came from Wang Lin's body like crazy and filled the stars. The fusion of his original body and his avatar, the fusion of the ancient god and a QI cultivator, caused popping sounds to echo from Wang Lin's body. Countless bolts of thunder roamed around his body. Wang Lin's left eye contained the sun and his right eye contained the moon. His hair was no longer red after fusing with his avatar's black hair, it was now purple. It moved without any wind, and the ancient god stars were hidden by the third eye. No one was able to see any sign of them. "I'll give you a miracle," Wang Lin's cold voice echoed and turned into endless rumbles that echoed among the stars. With a step, he disappeared. 3,000 words in a major chapter, hoping to be shared, hoping to get the like button hit for the video. Chapter 910, Strongest Fusion. Wang Lin's appearance didn't change much, but he was extremely calm. There were faint lines on his body, but they were not obvious. An extremely powerful aura was coming from his body and filling the stars. As this aura spread out, it set off a huge wave on the rank cultivation planet. Countless cultivators awakened from their cultivation and felt their souls shake. Just as everyone was startled, Wang Lin took a step and ripples appeared under his feet, and he disappeared among the stars. Yu Fei's expression was gloomy, and he clenched his fist. Earlier, when he saw the ripples under Wang Lin's feet, his pupils shrank, and he was greatly shocked. Spatial bending! He knew of this spell, but he had not expected this Shumu to already know this spell. It has to be said that very few cultivators he knew could use this spell. It was even more rare for people at the same cultivation level as him. How could this not surprise him? Moreover, the information he received about Shumu never mentioned this at all. He subconsciously spread out his origin energy, causing the surrounding area to collapse, but there was no sign of Shumu. Even when he completely distorted the origin energy in the area, he still couldn't find Shumu. Yu Fei's expression became even colder, but he immediately understood that this Shumu had escaped. He let out an angry roar as he turned around and locked onto the big-headed boy who was fighting his avatar. All his killing intent and rage were now redirected to the big-headed boy. He quickly charged toward the big-headed boy. "You master has fled, so let us start with you then." Yu Fei was extremely angry in his heart, and this anger was very depressing. He was a mid-stage Nirvana Scryer cultivator who let an early-stage Nirvana Scryer cultivator escape, and he couldn't even pursue. He hadn't experienced this kind of thing in a long time. The big-headed boy was fighting Yu Fei's avatar when his scalp felt numb and he almost lost his wits. He couldn't help but scold Wang Lin as he retreated and attempted to escape. However, Yu Fei was extremely angry, and he instantly closed in. Using his overwhelming mid-stage Nirvana Scryer cultivation, he pointed with his finger. The 5 blood swords immediately shot toward the big-headed boy. "D for me!" As Yu Fei shouted, the 5 blood swords charged forward like 5 early-stage Nirvana Scryer cultivators. Adding the one from before, it was like 6 Nirvana Scryer cultivators attacking the big-headed boy. How could the big-headed boy resist with his current cultivation? The big-headed boy was filled with despair and a crazy idea appeared in his heart. He was about to explode his origin soul, No matter what, he had to destroy an avatar. Just at this moment of life and death, a cold voice came from behind the big-headed boy. "This is my miracle." As the cold voice echoed, the big-headed boy felt his body being grabbed and tossed back by someone, allowing him to escape danger. Wang Lin walked out from the void. His expression was cold as he faced the 6 blood swords, and he threw a punch. The power behind this punch was even stronger than Tashan's punches. The roar that came from the fist felt like it was going to shatter space. This caused a series of sonic booms, and the space before Wang Lin fragmented. Cold air came out from the countless cracks, but they had no effect on Wang Lin. If space was like this, then there was no need to talk about the 6 blood swords. Wang Lin's fist landed directly on one of the flying swords. The sword trembled and immediately collapsed with a bang. The fragments were pushed back, and then they turned into an avatar that coughed out blood. His eyes were filled with terror, and he retreated. Wang Lin's expression was cold and gave off endless coldness, as if he was a piece of never-melting ice. This Yufei's avatars were at the early stage of Nirvana Scryer, and Yufei's real body was at the mid-stage of Nirvana Scryer. With them together, it would be very difficult for Wang Lin to kill Yufei, and even if he won, the price would be very high. Thus, the best choice was for Wang Lin to fuse with his original body. He took a step and arrived next to the avatar that coughed out blood before the other 5 could even react. Without any hesitation, Wang Lin threw a punch. There was a loud bang. It was as if space itself was trembling. The avatar coughed out more blood, and numerous clouds of blood mist exploded from its body. After the avatar retreated 10 steps, it collapsed and was completely destroyed. Absolute slaughter. This was a complete and absolute slaughter. After killing one avatar, Wang Lin turned around and walked toward the incoming 5 blood swords. All of this was done in an instant. Wang Lin was so fast that he left behind many afterimages. This time, his fist landed in the void. Cracking sounds could be heard while a huge crack appeared and tore through space like a dragon. One of the blood swords flashed and shot toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't even look at it while his right hand reached out. The blood sword trembled and wanted to struggle, but it was caught by Wang Lin. He mercilessly crushed it. The second blood sword collapsed with a bang and was about to escape, but countless lightning bolts gathered under Wang Lin's gaze. Countless bolts of thunder smashed into the avatar, and popping sounds came from its body. The avatar collapsed and died. At this moment, the remaining 4 blood swords closed in and suddenly landed on Wang Lin. There was sound of metals colliding as the swords hit Wang Lin's body. A powerful rebound force came from Wang Lin, knocking the 4 swords back, and they trembled violently. This scene stunned the big-headed boy. When he looked at the both familiar and unfamiliar Wang Lin, there was only terror in his eyes. The flying swords couldn't hurt his body. The big-headed boy wasn't the only one that was shocked. There was also Yufei. For the first time, his expression changed, and it was a big change. Everything that happened was too fast and caught him unprepared. In almost the blink of an eye, 2 of his avatars had collapsed, and this set off a monstrous wave in his heart. He was about to charge out when Wang Lin suddenly turned around and let out a roar. Roar! This roar was the roar of an ancient god. It had been a very long time since the voice of the ancient god had existed in this world. Now that it suddenly appeared, it was as if the true voice that could split the heavens had appeared. Before this roar of an ancient god, even the heavens' thunder had to tremble, and the starry sky itself had to bow because he was an ancient god. Countless years ago, this world was filled with ancient gods. The roar of the ancient god released an ancient aura into the world. All creatures must yield to the roar of the ancient god, and all power will disintegrate. This roar was several times more violent than thunder. What is thunder before this roar? This roar was filled with endless force, and it created a storm that swept the area. Yufei had just lifted his feet when the ancient god roar hit him. A power that made his mind tremble suddenly charged at him. His mind was in shock, and he quickly retreated. It was as if he would be torn apart if he didn't retreat. His face was pale. In his eyes, Wang Lin was like an angry ancient beast that gave off such a powerful aura that he had to retreat. The origin energy inside his body cycled rapidly without his control. It was as if it would immediately collapse and he would die if it stopped. At this moment, his ears buzzed and he was isolated from the world. He could only hear his own heartbeat rapidly accelerating in his ears. In the end, his heart was beating so fast that the beats were connected. His eyes were filled with fear. This fear came from the soul, the fear toward the ancient gods. For the first time, Yu Fei felt fear. At the start, there was only a sliver of fear, but a moment later, it filled his mind. The big-headed boy's face turned pale. His mind trembled under the roar of the ancient god. He now had a celestial origin, so he was a celestial, but at this moment, he had the illusion that he was merely an ant. There was also Lei Ji, and his body trembled. There was a will that roared in Lei Ji's heart. It was like a servant that had met his true master. He couldn't help but kneel and obediently listen to Wang Lin's orders. This was the first time he had felt this kind of feeling. Although he was shocked by the awe he felt, he didn't reject it. Rather, he felt a sense of familiarity. If these people were like this, then there was no need to mention the 4 flying swords near Wang Lin. The indescribable impact of the roar caused the world to change colors and space itself to collapse. Those 4 flying swords all exploded. While they collapsed, countless fragments were pushed back and turned into 4 avatars. Each of those 4 avatars had Nirvana Scryer cultivation, but the moment they appeared, they were hit by the impact of the roar of the ancient god once more. As if a powerful wind containing a destructive force had blown by, the 4 avatars immediately collapsed and dissipated. They were completely dead. Wang Lin took a step. Ripples appeared under his feet, and he disappeared. When he reappeared, he was next to Ta Shan, who was facing Yu Fei's last avatar. The last avatar was also so shocked that it stopped attacking and was retreating, but how could it compare to Wang Lin? The moment Wang Lin appeared, his 2 fingers formed a sword and pressed down. Endless thunder came from all directions, and the yin and yang fishes appeared as well. When his fingers landed, the last avatar exploded. Wang Lin only took several breaths of time to kill the 7 avatars one after the other, but the shock he brought was unimaginable. Wang Lin's expression was cold as he looked at the pale-faced Yu Fei not far away and coldly said, "This is the miracle I am giving you. Are you satisfied?" Tonight there will be 2 to 3 new chapters. Leo will do his utmost to make up for the chapters missing from the last 2 days. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 911 Slaughter Domain. Yu Fei's eyes revealed terror. He could see that this Shu Mu's cultivation was extremely strange. Although Shu Mu's cultivation level was only early stage Nirvana Scryer, his physical body was strong enough to beat the treasures he refined with his avatars. This made his mind tremble. What made him lose his wit was that the roar just now had shaken the 4 avatars to death. Even he felt an irresistible sense of fear. At this moment, he no longer had the courage to keep fighting. His body flickered and he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. Then he entered the blood and fled far away. As he escaped, the stone he was standing on suddenly collapsed and a large amount of killing intent lashed out. This incredible impact attempted to stop anyone from chasing Yu Fei. Wang Lin's expression was cold as his hand formed a seal and pointed up. A gust of wind blew out like crazy and blew away the force from the stone. He then took a step and chased after Yu Fei. Yu Fei was too fast. Blood escape was a survival skill that one used while injuring themselves. He panicked and no longer cared. He only wanted to quickly escape. However, when he was tens of thousands of kilometers away, a ripple appeared before him. Wang Lin walked out and punched him in the face. This punch landed in the void and caused the surrounding space to shatter. The world's origin energy went crazy, and Yu Fei's body trembled and he coughed out blood. The blood light around him disappeared, and he was forced out from his blood escape. With a hint of madness, Yu Fei formed a seal and a ray of blood light flew out from his forehead. This red light was extremely bright, and it gave off a powerful evil aura. As Yu Fei shouted, it turned into a ray of sword energy 100 feet long and shot toward Wang Lin. This was Yu Fei's life treasure. Now that he was forced to the limit, he used it without any hesitation. After throwing out his life treasure, his hand formed another seal and the blood before him trembled and turned into a 1,000-foot-long python. The python opened its jaws and attempted to devour Wang Lin. After doing all this, he still felt uneasy, so he simply slapped his bag of holding, and a large amount of treasures flew out. As various flashes of light came from the treasures, he spat out essence blood that landed on all the treasures, and he shouted, "Kill!" The magic treasures before him charged out toward Wang Lin. Yufei's face was a bit pale, but he retreated without hesitation. Wang Lin's expression was indifferent. When facing the big sword formed by Yufei's life treasure, rich spiritual energy came out from his body. Then Wang Lin's body began to grow like crazy and became a giant hundreds of feet tall. This large body gave off an ancient and powerful aura. He didn't dodge, he allowed the large sword to slam into him. Wang Lin didn't even pause. It was the sword that collapsed. If Wang Lin hadn't fused, he wouldn't have dared to face the treasures of a mid-stage nirvana scryer cultivator. However, now that he had fused with his original body, he was able to completely resist the treasures of a mid-stage nirvana scryer cultivator. In particular, the powerful origin energy coming from his body knocked away all the incoming treasures. As for the python following closely after the sword, it still tried to devour Wang Lin. Wang Lin was indifferent as he grabbed the python's head and directly crushed it. Just as Wang Lin was about to throw it away, he was surprised to find that the python had a soul. Without hesitation, the underworld river appeared and resentment filled the area. He threw the python into the underworld river and then waved his hand. All the incoming treasures collapsed. Since his life treasure was destroyed, the escaping Yufei coughed out a mouthful of blood and his face became even more pale. He clenched his teeth and his eyes became filled with resolve. While still enduring the pain, he tore off his left arm and a large amount of blood sprayed out. His face was deathly pale as he muttered some complex spell. Then his left arm suddenly collapsed and formed a vortex gate. Yufei directly stepped into the vortex. "Shu Mu of the Soul Killer duo, there is another beside me. Although your body is strong, under the spells of a soul killer, you will still die." Yufei's eyes revealed a monstrous hatred as he walked into the vortex. Seeing that Yufei was about to escape, Wang Lin's eyes became filled with killing intent. His personality had always been, if they don't mess with me, I want mess with them. If they mess with me, I'll kill them. At this moment, Yufei's body had already entered the vortex. The vortex rapidly rotated and became smaller and smaller. It was about to disappear completely. Wang Lin's eyes became cold, and the hum of a furnace appeared around him. The illusion of a furnace hundreds of feet large appeared before Wang Lin. Ancient God Furnace. When Wang Lin's avatar used it, he had to use the seal left by greed. However, after fusing with his original body, his control over it was much stronger. Position shift. In an instant, a violent echo came from inside the ancient God Furnace. The shrinking vortex seemed to be grabbed by a pair of giant invisible hands and was pulled toward Wang Lin. Similarly, Wang Lin's body moved forward in a mysterious manner. The moment the two crossed, Wang Lin's two fingers formed a sword that contained a heavenly chop, heavenly thunder, and the yin and yang fishes. At the same time, the ancient god's powerful body and the spell that could shatter anything was also contained inside these two fingers. Wang Lin directly pointed his two fingers mercilessly through the shrinking vortex. In the slaughter domain of the Alliance star system S2 sects, 4 temples and 8 domains. A elliptical vortex suddenly appeared next to one of the buildings that looked like swords stabbed into the ground. A mysterious attracting force came from the vortex and caught the attention of the cultivators in the slaughter domain. Yufei's body stepped out from the vortex. His face was deathly pale and blood was still coming out of his left arm. After he came out, the vortex behind him rapidly shrank. Seeing that he had returned to his familiar slaughter domain, he relaxed, but he was still terrified of what had happened. Now, he looked at the tower and was about to speak. However, just at this moment, a very powerful aura came out from the tower like crazy along with an angry roar. "Yufei, leave that place!" At the same time, a ray of red light came from the high tower and closed in on Yufei. But it was a step too late. The moment he heard that face, Yufei didn't pause and continued to charge out. However, just at that instant, a powerful energy came out from the shrinking vortex before him. It tore through the vortex and 2 fingers suddenly came out from the vortex. These 2 fingers held monstrous killing intent, and they suddenly pressed down on Yu Fei's back. "It's Yu Mu." Yu Fei coughed out blood, and his body was mercilessly thrown forward due to a powerful force. Popping sounds came from his body and large amounts of blood mist came out of his pores. In almost an instant, his entire body collapsed. Not even his origin soul was able to escape from the collapse of his body and was destroyed along with his body. Even his bag of holding was destroyed, and everything inside it flew out. Among these items, there was a branch that quickly retreated and was caught by the two fingers that came from the vortex. This scene caused an uproar in the slaughter domain. The red light that flew out from the tower immediately charged toward the two fingers. However, as soon as the two fingers pressed down, they retreated back into the vortex, and the vortex disappeared. An angry roar came out from red light, and in a flash, a dried-up right arm shot out from the red light and went into the dissipating vortex. There was a crackle, and the dried-up right arm was able to pull out half a tree branch from the vortex. Shumu! The red light flashed and revealed a person. He was extremely old and had a head of red hair. At this moment, he let out an angry roar. Over the countless years, their slaughtered domain had never seen one of their own killed inside their own domain while they were all helpless. This kind of shame was equal to the enemy slaughtering their way into their base. Roars came from the other towers and cultivators filled with killing intent came out. Each of them stared at where Yu Fei died, and they silently pondered. This kind of silence created an unimaginable killing intent that was constantly being suppressed and waiting to explode. The red-haired old man took a deep breath and revealed a grim expression. He waved his sleeves and returned back into the tower. After a long time, a cold voice came out from the tower. "Hunshu Mu." As for Wang Lin, he withdrew his fingers and his body slowly shrank and returned back to normal in several breaths of time. If he was going to kill, then he needed to be thorough. Letting the other person go wouldn't stop people from trying to kill him, so he was going for the kill. After pondering for a while, Wang Lin looked at the piece of branch in his hand and put it away. Getting it while killing Yu Fei was a big risk, and he had great use for this. This item, it will allow me peace in the western region of the Alliance. Wang Lin's body flickered and disappeared. When he appeared, he was on Lei Ji's back. The big-headed boy was disturbed, but when he saw Wang Lin return, he relaxed and revealed a respectful look. Tashan was slightly injured in the battle against Yu Fei's avatar and was sitting there recovering. Wang Lin sat down on Lei Ji's back and calmly said, "Lei Ji, find me a hidden, uninhabited planet. I want to go into closed-door cultivation." Lei Ji caused a loud rumble as he flew far away into the distance. Good night, everyone. We will meet again tomorrow. Just wait a moment. Remember to like the video. Chapter 912. Question 1's wrongs. Lei Ji's large body gave off a powerful pressure as he quickly moved through the western region of the Alliance. Not far away, there were rays of sword energy. It was a group of Al-Heaven cultivators. The person leading was one of the Earth Celestials. When he first saw Lei Ji's huge body, he became vigilant. Even the cultivators behind him were prepared to face a formidable opponent, and there were flashes of spells. Just as this moment, the leader's eyes narrowed as he saw Wang Lin and the big-headed boy on Lei Ji's back. He gasped, immediately retreated a few steps, and respectfully said, "Greetings, Thunder Celestial." The name Shumu was illustrious in Al-Heaven, and he had personally witnessed Wang Lin's heroic deeds. He admired Wang Lin a lot, and his admiration was completely sincere. Wang Lin slightly nodded and didn't speak. Lei Ji's speed was very fast, so he quickly flew by these cultivators. It wasn't until Wang Lin was far away that cultivator looked back with envy and said, "Someone with a mount like that is indeed worthy of being Al-Heaven's Thunder Celestial." He wasn't the only one who envied Wang Lin. The other cultivators all felt admiration and envy toward Wang Lin. As Lei Ji moved forward, they encountered even more Al-Heaven cultivators. It was obvious that this area was completely occupied by Al-Heaven. When those cultivators saw Wang Lin, they all became respectful, and when they saw Lei Ji, they were filled with shock and admiration. After Shu Mu appeared, it became known by all Al-Heaven cultivators as rumors spread. During this period of time, there were a lot of rumors about Shu Mu. A vast majority of them were that Shu Mu didn't dare to battle or had betrayed them to join the Alliance. Shu Ting was happy to hear this and secretly fueled the rumor. The older generation of Al-Heaven cultivators didn't say anything to stop this. In addition, Wang Lin did disappear first, so the rumors became more and more exaggerated. For example, things like Shu Mu is a spy from the Alliance became more widely believed. Lei Ji's movements caught the attention of a lot of cultivators. A lot of cultivators looked at Wang Lin with respect, but there were also many looking at him with playful gazes, as if they were waiting to see a good show. A day later, Lei Ji stopped outside an abandoned planet. There wasn't much spiritual energy left in this planet. Even the All-Heaven cultivators that occupied it didn't care much and only left several people guarding it. Wang Lin carefully looked at the abandoned planet. This place was indeed remote. Although it was occupied by All-Heaven cultivators, it didn't obstruct Wang Lin from doing his closed-door cultivation here. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin stepped off Lei Ji's back and walked toward the abandoned planet. The big-headed boy and Tashan immediately followed. As for Lei Ji, his body shrank back to a foot-old man and followed behind them. When he got near the planet, he heard roars coming from the planet. Although it was abandoned, there was still a large amount of fierce beasts on the planet. These beasts had no intelligence and relied on instinct to survive. There were snakes dozens of feet long and tigers with wings. Those were all very common. The moment Wang Lin landed on the planet, the several cultivators stationed here were awakened from their cultivation. They hesitated for a bit before flying over on rays of sword energy. The place Wang Lin picked was a mountain peak. This mountain was very weird. It was like a finger pointed straight at the sky as if it was going to pierce the sky. While standing on the strange mountain, Tashan immediately punched the mountain to create a cave. He did this without even waiting for Wang Lin's order. At this moment, several rays of light flew through the sky, and the cultivators stationed here closed in. The 5 or 6 people stopped 1,000 feet away and respectfully said, "Greetings, Thunder Celestial." Wang Lin slightly nodded and slowly said, "I need to cultivate a celestial spell here. Don't disturb me." These cultivators quickly nodded before clasping their hands and excusing themselves. After these people left, Wang Lin's right hand formed a seal and annihilation restrictions flew out. As his hand continued to move, Wang Lin placed restrictions everywhere until there were traces of restrictions all over the mountain. After placing the restrictions, Tashan and the big-headed boy sat down in the distance to guard Wang Lin. Lei Ji also found a place to sit. He had felt his bloodline ability undergo a mysterious change. He was silently pondering and comprehending this change. Wang Lin closed his eyes, and the surroundings went completely quiet aside from the occasional roar from the distance. After Wang Lin placed the restrictions, the fierce beasts all left. Although they had no intelligence, they felt that this place was very dangerous. Wang Lin's mind was clear in this relatively quiet atmosphere. The 2 celestial emperor celestial spells appeared in his mind. Summon the rain, magic arsenal. Summon the rain. Once, when Wang Lin used Call the Wind, he accidentally condensed a drop of rain. However, when he tried later, he wasn't able to form it again. After Qing Shui gave him the inheritance, he realized the issue. Call the Wind and Summon the Rain were deeply connected. The two could transform into each other and compound together. As he pondered, Wang Lin opened his arms and silently comprehended Summon the Rain. Summon the Rain involved gathering the origin energy of the world for Wang Lin to use, and then using the spell to condense said origin energy into rain. Each raindrop contained dense origin energy. It could be said that it was already part of law. While comprehending, large amounts of dark clouds condensed in the sky above Wang Lin. This scene was very spectacular. Looking at the rain, Wang Lin was completely immersed. However, at this moment, the rain seemed to stop and 2 people came from the void. Before the rain could fall on these 2 people, the rain would immediately disappear and turn into a large amount of mist. Not a single drop of rain fell on these 2. "Shumu, do you recognize your crime?" A roar came from one of them. This person was an old man. Wang Lin had seen this person before. If Wang Lin remembered correctly, this person was the elder in charge of punishments. Master Flamespark stood beside his person with a gloomy expression as he stared at Wang Lin with a cold gaze. The rain turned into a large amount of clouds, as if there was a flame burning, and this made it feel like he gave off unimaginable pressure. It was as if he could use these clouds to make the world collapse with just a thought. What crime? Wang Lin's expression.